Picture this. I died playing video games. Classic gamer move, right? 1 minute I'm pulling an all-nighter. Next minute, boom. I wake up in some ancient Chinese fantasy world as the most irrelevant grandson in a family of like 600 grandkids. My grandpa is basically a warlord king with his own army, and I'm the son of a side chick of a non-important son. Zero inheritance, zero clout. Absolute bottom of the family food chain. Then comes the big family ceremony where all the grown-up kids get to choose their future. Sounds nice, except the good option, joining the army, is basically reserved for the legit heirs. Guys like me get shipped off to some random piece of land with a wife who comes preloaded with crippling debt. Yeah, you heard that right. The family literally hands you a bride whose old family owes a fortune, and guess what? That debt is now your problem. Merry Christmas. Everyone was too scared to pick land first, because whoever goes first gets last pick of wives, meaning maximum debt. But I stepped right up like a maniac and grabbed the worst-looking territory on the map. Banjin, a tiny village with bamboo and barely 1,000 people. Everyone thought the lightning strike from last month fried my brain. What they don't know, that little patch of worthless land is sitting on an iron mine. In a world where wars never stop. I'm basically holding a winning lottery ticket and nobody can read the numbers but me. Then came wife-picking time, and of course I'm dead last. 3 women left. One with debt of 200,000. Her family tried to overthrow the government. No big deal. One foreign warrior lady who killed a dozen soldiers and owes 30,000. And one sick girl from a merchant family owing 5,000. The elder basically told me to pick the cheap one and they'd execute the other 2. Execute them? For being leftovers nobody wanted? Nah, not on my watch. I looked that old man right in the eye and said, I'll take all 3. You could hear a pin drop. Probably the dumbest financial decision in the history of this empire. I now owe roughly $250,000 in wife debt. I own a bamboo forest with a secret iron mine, and I have 0 combat skills in a world that runs on swords. This is fine. Everyone thought I'd lost my mind. The crowd was roaring behind me like I'd just bet my life savings on a 3-legged horse, which, honestly, isn't far from the truth. 20-something in wife debt and a bamboo patch that earns 150 silver a year? Yeah, the math doesn't math. I get it. But here's the thing. I technically have the right to marry 3. 1 main wife, 2 side wives. It's literally in the rulebook. The clan elder tried to shut me down, and I hit him with the legal technicality like a lawyer who passed the bar exam 5 minutes ago. His face was priceless. Then I made probably the most baller promise of my life. 8 years. I'll pay it all off. If I can't, take my land, and I'll become a nobody. The elder actually smiled at that. The sly old fox wanted me to fail. This whole system is designed to crush guys like me. Fine. We'll see who's laughing in 8 years, Grandpa. Wedding ceremony was efficient. 20-something couples got hitched on the spot. But guess who stole the show? The idiot who married 3 debt-loaded women at once. That would be me. Standing ovation. Not really. More like standing judgment. After the ceremony, we got our goodbye gift from the family. 200 silver, a landlord badge, some clothes, and a set of keys. Not even a hug from Mom allowed. Straight onto the wagon and get out. My mother, bless her heart, secretly stuffed nearly 1,000 silver plus a gold bar and some jewelry into the bottom of my luggage. Every coin she'd saved in her miserable life as a concubine. That hit different. Even though I'm technically a soul from another world wearing her son's body, I swore right then I'd get her out of that house someday. We rolled past Grandpa's palace on the way out. 2 giant stone lions, massive red doors, the whole royal package. My grandfather, the king. Never met him. Never will, probably. Being the illegitimate grandson of an illegitimate son means you're basically invisible with a family name. Now let me introduce my lovely wives. Wife number 1, Miao Shuedwa, daughter of a disgraced marquis who tried to overthrow the crown prince. Her whole family got executed. Dad spent his last breath pulling strings to ship her here. Debt, 200,000. She's gorgeous, elegant, and looks at me like I'm something stuck to the bottom of her shoe. Former rich girl energy is strong. Wife number 2, Yi Qingwen, merchant's daughter. Dad got caught bribing officials. Debt, only 5,000, bargain bin wife, basically. Catch, she's sick. Like, perpetually pale, might faint any second, real-life Lin Dayu kind of sick. She's actually grateful I picked her, which makes 1 out of 3. Wife number 3, Saya, foreign warrior woman who personally slaughtered a dozen of our soldiers before getting captured. Debt, 30,000. She looks at me like a cat deciding whether to play with its food before eating it. Exotic, fierce, and could snap my neck with her pinky finger. Inside the cramped wagon, I cleared my throat and gave my big husband speech. I know I look like a broke nobody right now, but I will give you all a life fit for queens. Dead silence. 3 pairs of eyes staring at me like I just announced I could fly. Saya spoke first. If my parents weren't hostages, I'd kill you right now. You believe that? Oh, I believed it completely. My combat ability is roughly equivalent to an angry chicken's. But the clan is holding her parents as insurance, which is the only reason I'm still breathing. I played it cool. Tell you what, 1 year from now, I'll hand you divorce papers. Freedom. And until then, marriage in name only. I won't touch you. Deal? Her jaw actually dropped. Apparently nobody in this world offers their murder-capable wife a free divorce. Revolutionary concept. Then I unlocked all their shackles, chains off, handcuffs gone, and dropped my real timeline. 3 years. Not 8. All debts cleared. Good life for everyone. Yi Qingwen blushed and offered to sew and weave to help out. Sweet girl. Saya volunteered for home security. I can guard the house and kill intruders. Nothing else. Solid resume. Miao Shued would just sighed. The former marquis's daughter realized she has 0 practical skills. Awkward silence filled the wagon like humidity. 2 days and 2 nights of bumpy road later, we finally arrived at my glorious domain of bamboo garden. Saya leaped off the wagon first, actually looking excited for once. Then she yelled back at me, Zhao Shuo, what the heck is going on here? And that is where we're stopping. Cliffhanger. You're welcome. I pulled back the wagon curtain, expecting maybe a quaint little village, some rustic charm, a couple friendly farmers waving hello. What I got instead looked like the opening scene of a zombie apocalypse. People squatting on the ground half dead, actual corpses just lying around, and skeleton-thin kids fighting each other over boiled grass roots. Grass roots. Not even the good kind of grass. My kingdom, ladies and gentlemen. I sent Saya to investigate because she's the only one of us who can walk into a disaster zone without fainting. She came back with an old man and 2 young guys who all looked like they hadn't eaten since last Tuesday. The report? 3-month famine. 0 food. The villagers had already eaten every edible bamboo shoot in the forest. They were literally chewing tree bark to survive. And the old man? He looked at me like I was the devil's landlord in turn. Turns out, every lord the royal family sent here before me just squeezed these people dry and bounced. The old guy was basically waiting for me to announce my new tax rates so he could hate me properly. I told him to get me a population report. He practically yelled back that he didn't need to count. He already knew every single family because there were barely any left. Out of 1,000 original residents, only 580 remained. The young, strong ones had already fled. What's left? Mostly elderly and kids gnawing on sticks. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. This is my empire now. Next stop, the Lord's mansion. I use the word mansion very loosely. Imagine a haunted house that even ghosts rejected. The paint was peeling off the gate. Inside, spider webs everywhere. Weeds taller than me. The stone path had turned into a moss garden. It looked like nature was actively trying to repossess the property. Miao Shuedwa, wife number 1, the former marquis's daughter, took one look and gave me the most devastating side-eye in recorded history. And you plan to repay 200,000 silver from this? I can't decide if you're clever or just stupid. Thanks, honey. Love you too. Saya, bless her warrior heart, charged into the yard like a weed-killing machine and ripped everything out at superhuman speed. Yi Qingwen, the sick one, hiked up her skirt and jumped in to help too. After about an hour of intense cleaning, the place looked survivable. Barely. Then came the family meeting. All 3 wives staring at me in this crumbling living room, waiting for the plan. Wife number 1 hit me with, you said you had solutions. Let's hear them. Impress me. Yi Qingwen suggested maybe we buy some food from a nearby town. Saya volunteered to carry the bags. Reasonable ideas, but Miao Shuedwa shut them both down instantly. 600 mouths to feed, and you want to go shopping? How long will our savings last? 3 days? Then what? We drink the wind. She turned back to me with that sarcastic little smirk. Didn't you promise us a queen's life, dear husband? Day 1 and you're already stumped. Oh ye of little faith. Here's what was cooking in my beautiful modern brain. Liquor. High-proof alcohol. This entire region is packed with military camps. Tens of thousands of soldiers who spend every free moment doing two things: drinking and chasing women. The demand for good booze out here is absolutely insane. If I can produce strong liquor, these army boys will throw money at me faster than I can count it. The bamboo business needs time. The iron mine needs startup capital. But alcohol, that's instant cash flow, baby. All three wives leaned in. What's the plan? I gave them my most mysterious smile. Secret. You'll see soon enough. Then I handed Saya 200 silver and told her to go buy 100+ pounds of the cheapest, nastiest bargain bin booze she could find. She looked at me like I'd finally confirmed the brain damage from that lightning strike. Buying bad wine to solve a famine. The man has a plan. The trick they don't know yet? I'm not going to sell cheap wine. I'm going to distill it into something strong enough to make a general weep with joy. Low cost, easy process, massive profit margins. Chemistry class is about to be in session, and this whole territory is my customer base. Now, I wasn't there for this part, but I've pieced together what happened back at Grandpa's palace after I left, and honestly, it's comedy gold. If you enjoy watching people trash talk you behind your back, that is. Grandpa, the great King Zhao Wuji, Warden of the West, commander of 100,000 troops, apparently took a tea break from running the military to check on how his grandkids' futures turned out. He was scanning the list of recruits like a proud general reviewing his finest soldiers. 10 legitimate grandsons joined the army? Wonderful. Some of them are real talented. Magnificent. His favorite sons were practically doing a victory lap around the throne room, bragging about whose kid was going to become the next war hero. Then somebody asked the question. So, who picked up that marquis's daughter with the 200,000 debt? The clan elder apparently started sweating like a man delivering bad news to a king, which is exactly what he was doing. That would be, Zhao Shua, Your Majesty. Grandpa paused, thought hard, searched the dusty filing cabinet of his brain for any memory of me. Found almost nothing. I'm basically a deleted file in his mental hard drive. And what land did he choose? Bamboo Garden. Uncle number 3, the loud, obnoxious, legitimate son, burst out laughing. The whole room followed. Imagine 40 grown men cackling at your life choices while sipping fancy tea. That was my roast session, and I wasn't even invited. Bamboo Garden? That wasteland. During a famine? And he took the 20-debt wife? Grandpa's verdict. This grandson is finished. Hopeless, but wait. The elder wasn't done delivering bad news. He cleared his throat and added, he also married the foreign warrior girl and the sick merchant's daughter. The room went silent. Then Grandpa said, and I quote what was reported to me, stupid. Supremely stupid. 3 burdens at once. The elder tried to help. He said he'd pay everything off in 8 years or give up his title. Grandpa basically said even 80 years wouldn't be enough with that trash land, and I'd probably starve to death or get murdered by hungry villagers before the year was out. Then he asked whose son I was. Every brother in that room turned around with the biggest, nastiest grins and stared at my dad. My poor father was standing at the very back, rank 38 out of 40 sons, drenched in sweat like he'd been caught stealing. Grandpa looked at Dad, snorted, and walked out without saying a single word to him. That's somehow worse than yelling. Then the real fun started. Uncle number 3 shoulder-checked my dad on the way out. Your boy's real smart. Can't wait to see him make millions. The other uncles piled on like schoolyard bullies. Illegitimate sons breeding illegitimate failures. What did we expect? Even the other illegitimate sons avoided my dad like he had a disease. Nobody wanted to be associated with the father of the guy who just made the dumbest decision in family history. Dad went home and took it all out on my mom. Called her terrible names, blamed her for giving birth to an idiot. His main wife showed up doing that fake sweet thing. Oh honey, maybe your son really will become a genius businessman. Dripping sarcasm while the other concubines laughed in my mother's face. Dad's parting words to Mom. Go cook my dinner and warm my wine. Looking at you makes me sick. Without me feeding you, you'd starve in the street just like your stupid son. My mother wiped her tears and went to the kitchen. While cooking for the man who just humiliated her, she whispered to herself, Son, I hope you're okay. I hope you're not cold and hungry out there. And that is why I'm going to make this work. Not for pride. Not to prove Grandpa wrong. Not even for the money. For her. But also definitely to prove Grandpa wrong. And Uncle number 3. And Dad's main wife. And literally every single person in that palace who laughed. The revenge tour starts with cheap booze. Stay tuned. 3 hours. That's all it took to change the economic future of Bamboo Garden. 3 hours of me sweating in a side room with makeshift equipment, boiling cheap wine into liquid gold. See, these people have never heard of distillation. They drink watered-down grape juice and call it alcohol. I took 102 pounds of the nastiest, most gut-wrenching cheap booze money could buy, 200 silver worth, and cooked it down into 50 pounds of high-proof spirit that could knock a horse unconscious. Sealed it up in 5 nice clay jars I found in the cellar. Turns out the last lord who lived here was a raging alcoholic, so he left behind plenty of empty containers. Finally, a predecessor who contributed something useful to society. I walked out of that room feeling like a genius billionaire inventor. My wives were waiting in the courtyard with very different energy. Miao Shiwedwa stood there with her arms crossed like a disappointed school principal. Our husband is a drunk. This is his brilliant money plan. Drinking? Yi Qingwen looked like her whole world was crumbling. Please tell me you're not an alcoholic. Saya straight up screamed at me. Is this your big idea? You were in there getting wasted. I reeked of alcohol. My clothes were damp. I'd been locked in a steamy room for 3 hours. I get it. The evidence was not in my favor. Meanwhile, villagers were quietly picking up their food rations from the courtyard. I'd had Saya buy 300 pounds of cheap grain, corn and sorghum, for 10 silver when she went on the booze run. Half a pound per person, 1 meal, barely enough to keep people alive. The math is brutal. 10 silver a day just to feed everyone half a meal. At this rate, we'd be bankrupt before the month was out. Miao Shiwedwa laid it all out with the precision of a financial analyst who hates her client. 10 silver a day for food. You're buying wine to drink. Our savings are evaporating. We will literally starve here. You understand that, right? I looked at her and smiled. What if I told you I can make several hundred silver a day? Her face went completely flat. Several hundred a day? Words just fall out of your mouth, don't they? Yi Qingwen perked up a little. She wants to believe in me. Bless her heart. Saya grabbed Qingwen's arm protectively. Don't trust him. Men's mouths are where lies are born. He bought wine to drink and is pretending it's a business. Then, and I will admit this was maybe not my smoothest move, I proposed a bet. If I could earn several hundred silver on my first day of sales, all 3 wives had to grant me 1 wish. And my wish? Each of them gives me a baby. Hey, I'm the lord of this territory now. Producing heirs is a civic duty. I'm being responsible. The reactions were priceless. Miao Shiwedwa called me a pervert and a drunk in the same breath, but then actually agreed to the bet because she was that confident I'd lose. Yi Qingwen turned the color of a tomato and whispered something about not being ready. Saya, shut me down instantly. Absolutely not. But if you actually make that money, I guess I could call you husband once. As encouragement, wow. 1 word. What generosity. I dramatically looked up at the sky and sighed. Being a man is so hard. Down in the village, the locals were eating their sorghum and debating my life expectancy as their lord. The consensus? I'm a nice guy, but a drunken idiot who'll be broke within weeks. One villager actually defended me. At least he gave us food, and got immediately shut down. He's an alcoholic. He won't last. Little did any of them know what was about to happen. Because right at that moment, rolling through the bamboo forest on the road outside the village, a massive merchant caravan, 30 wagons, horses, servants, the whole convoy, was passing through. The boss, a tea trader named Foam, was mid-celebration about his latest profitable run when he suddenly stopped talking. His nose twitched. The aroma of my freshly distilled high-proof liquor had drifted out through the bamboo trees and slapped this man right in the nostrils. What is that incredible smell? In all my years traveling this country, I have never encountered a wine this fragrant. The hook is baited. The fish is sniffing. The Zhaoshua distillery is about to make its first sale, and I haven't even opened for business yet. Stay thirsty, my friends. I didn't even have to leave the house. I was literally about to haul a jar of liquor to the nearest town when, knock, 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 a customer showed up at my front door like a pizza delivery in reverse. Except he was bringing the money to me. Saya opened the gate and found some old merchant dude practically vibrating with excitement. Behind him stood his daughter, a rich girl who looked at our courtyard like she'd accidentally stepped into a dumpster. Which, fair. Excuse me, miss, do you have fine wine here? The old man asked, eyes sparkling like a kid at a candy store. Saya's face was blank. Fine wine. Us. We bought the cheapest garbage booze in the Tri-County area 6 hours ago. She looked back at me like, is this man having a stroke? The daughter was not impressed. Dad, this place is a dump. There's no good wine here. But old man Feng Sihai, tea merchant, professional nosehaver, was locked in. Daughter, my nose does not lie. He literally swallowed his own saliva smelling the air. My distilled spirits had drifted through the bamboo forest and hijacked this man's entire nervous system from half a mile away. This is the greatest marketing strategy in history, doing absolutely nothing. I invited them in and told them to sit down at our tiny courtyard table, the only piece of furniture that wasn't held together by spider silk and prayers. Feng Sihai was practically begging, young friend, I must taste this wine. Name your price. Money is no object. His daughter pulled a 50 silver gold bar out of her sleeve and waved it around like a credit card. Subtle. Behind me, I could feel the energy shift among my wives. Miao Shuedwa, the same woman who called me a hopeless drunk 3 hours ago, was now shooting me desperate eye signals like, get the wine right now, close the deal, go, go, go. Her inner businesswoman had awakened from its nap. Yi Qingwen was hyperventilating. Husband, hurry, what if he leaves? She started whispering to Saya. Do you think we could make a few dozen silver today? Saya, still a skeptic, crossed her arms. That's cheap trash wine we bought. This old man's nose is broken. Wait till he actually tastes it. He'll figure it out. Oh, Saya? Sweet, murderous Saya. You have no idea. Now here's where my business brain kicked in. Phone wanted to buy? Great. But I wasn't about to hand over a jar like some street vendor. I needed to set the stage. Let me tell you about this wine, I said, standing tall, voice clear and confident. It takes approximately 1 year to brew. The ingredients include rare and precious herbs, medicinal plants. Total lies? Maybe. Strategic brand storytelling? Absolutely. In marketing, we call this perceived value enhancement. In regular language, we call it making stuff sound expensive. Feng's eyes went wide. No wonder it smells so extraordinary. Please, let me try it immediately. Saya, who watched me buy this wine for 2 silver a pound literally this morning, stared at me with her mouth slightly open, processing the sheer audacity. This man just called gas station wine a rare herbal brew aged for a year, and the customer is more excited. She jumped up. I'll go get a whole jar. I stopped her cold. No, just bring a small bowl. We don't carry the whole jar out. She blinked. Then it clicked. Her eyes actually lit up. First time she's looked at me with anything other than contempt or murder intent. Supply and demand. I could see her brain computing. Make it seem rare. Charge more. That's right, wifey number 3. Your husband isn't just a pretty face with 0 combat skills. I might not be able to swing a sword, but I can swing a profit margin like nobody's business. 1 small bowl of liquor, coming right up. The less they see, the more they pay. Feng Sihai has no idea what's about to hit his taste buds. And his wallet. I walked out of that side room carrying a small bowl of crystal clear liquor like I was presenting the Holy Grail. Which, for this world, it basically was. Old man Feng took the bowl from my hands like a priest receiving a sacred offering. He held it up, examined it, sniffed deeply, and his whole body shuddered with joy. Clear. Brilliant. The aroma is so pure. He took 1 sip. His eyes went wide. His breathing got heavy. This 60-year-old tea merchant looked like he'd just fallen in love for the first time. Good wine. Strong. Flavorful. How much do you have? 50 pounds, I said, holding up 5 fingers. Cool as ice. Inside, my heart was doing backflips. Behind me, my wives were having a collective cardiac event. Miao Shuedwa was whispering to herself, if he pays 5 silver per pound, that's 50 silver profit. That would actually be incredible for day 1. Girl was doing mental math at the speed of anxiety. Yi Qingwen looked like she might faint. Can we at least break even? Please, Saya was literally hissing at me from across the yard. Say something. You're killing me. I looked Feng dead in the eyes and said, 10 silver per pound. 500 silver total. His daughter nearly choked. 10? That's robbery. But Feng himself? Didn't even blink. Deal. I'll take all of it. Then this absolute legend pulled out 500 silver, dropped it on the table, and added 200 more as a deposit for future orders. 700 silver. Total. Day 1. My cost. 200 silver for cheap wine. My profit. 500 silver. In one afternoon, without leaving my own crumbling courtyard, I picked up that fat bundle of 14 shiny 50 silver bars and turned to face my 3 wives with the most obnoxious smirk a human face has ever produced. Legs crossed, leaning back, complete swagger mode. So ladies, remember our little bet? Yi Qingwen rushed behind me and started massaging my shoulders, face bright red but grinning ear to ear. Husband, you're amazing. You're so bad. But I like it. She picked up one of those chunky silver bars and held it like a newborn baby. This girl grew up in a wealthy merchant family and has seen way more money than this. But watching me earn it from scratch, that gave her something money can't buy. Hope. Miao Shuadwa, the queen of skepticism, the woman who called me an idiot drunk this morning, straightened her back, gave me a dignified nod, and said, "Fine. You win. But one good day doesn't mean every day will be good." Then she paused and added with a little smirk, "I'll leave my door unlocked tonight. If you dare, ma'am." I dare. I very much dare. Then Saya came charging at me from behind, threw her arms around my neck in a bear hug, and nearly crushed my windpipe. This woman does not understand the concept of gentle physical affection. I was being loved and assassinated simultaneously. As the sun went down, Yi Qingwen volunteered to cook dinner. She grabbed a small bowl of sorghum to make thin porridge. Survival rations mentality, still thinking poor. I shut that down immediately. Porridge? No. We're making rice. Full portions. Eat until you're stuffed. Your husband said he'd give you a queen's life. And queens don't eat watery porridge. I dumped 3 big bowls of grain into the pot. Yi Qingwen's eyes filled with tears, happy once. Saya volunteered to tend the fire, grinning like a wolf who just found a capable pack leader. Even Miao Shuadwa sat down next to me, and for the first time, spoke to me like an actual partner. Husband, making money isn't easy. Many people earn a little then crash and burn. Be careful. I nodded. She's right. Today was a win, but the game is just starting. I've got iron mines to develop, a bamboo industry to build, 600 starving people to feed, 250,000 in debt to erase, and 3 wives who are slowly, very slowly, starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, the lightning-struck idiot they married isn't completely hopeless. Day 1 score, 700 silver earned, 1 wife offering shoulder massages, 1 wife leaving her door unlocked, and 1 wife who hugged me hard enough to almost kill me. Business is booming. Dinner that night was 3 big bowls of sorghum rice by firelight. Romantic? Sure. Delicious? Absolutely not. That stuff scraped down my throat like sandpaper wrapped in sadness. But I shoved every last grain into my mouth because nothing motivates a man like eating terrible food and knowing he has to do better. Yi Qingwen nibbled away happily. This girl could eat cardboard and smile if she felt safe. Saya inhaled her bowl like a vacuum cleaner and went back for seconds. Miao Shuadwa took 3 bites, put her chopsticks down, and stared into the distance like a war widow. Back at her marquee mansion, she wouldn't feed this stuff to her dog. But she ate those 3 bites without complaining, and honestly, that's growth. After dinner, I handed Saya 500 silver and gave her the shopping list from hell. 200 pounds of cheap booze, 2,000 pounds of grain, and oh, pick up another horse and cart while you're at it. Maybe a donkey if horses are sold out. I'm not picky. She stared at me like I'd asked her to buy the moon. That much? That much? She tried to get me to explain why I needed 2,000 pounds of grain. I gave her my signature mysterious smile. It's a secret, she snorted. Then she tried to quote a Chinese proverb at me, something about fish, and completely butchered it. People always say, give a man a something fish. Better than something fishing. Give a man a fish, teach a man to fish, I corrected. Yes, that one. Do that. Fair point, warrior wife. Fair point. I know I can't just feed these villagers forever. But what nobody realizes yet is that the grain isn't just for eating. I have plans for that grain. Plans that involve more distilling, more money, and eventually an economic empire built on bamboo and iron. But I kept my mouth shut and went to bed. Now here's the part one didn't witness personally, but later heard every juicy detail about. Next morning, the nearby market town. Feng Sihai's partner restaurant. Welcome fragrance. Tavern. The tavern owner set up a whole show outside. Dancing girls at the entrance. Tiny tasting cups of my liquor lined up on a table. A full carnival barker routine. Once in a lifetime wine. Limited supply. Buy booze, get free food. People swarmed in like moths to a bonfire. First sniff. Whoa, this is legit. First sip. Some military captain's eyes popped out of his skull. This is the strongest, most flavorful thing I've ever tasted. Then the price dropped. 20 silver per pound. 20. I sold it to Feng for 10. Feng sold it to the tavern, and now it's going for 20. My cheap garbage wine that cost me 2 silver a pound is being served to rich people at a 1,000% markup from original cost. The military captain choked. 20 silver? That's my whole monthly salary. But the rich merchants didn't care. They were throwing money at the counter like it was on fire. And here's where it gets interesting. Some guy named Zhao Quan walked in. He's one of my Zhao family cousins, another illegitimate grandson who got shipped off with a horse ranch as his territory. This dude is a professional alcoholic. He knows his booze. One tiny sip and his eyes went full heart emoji. He ordered a whole pound on the spot. 20 silver. For 1 pound of what was, 12 hours ago, the cheapest swill in the province. But the best part? While drinking, Zhao Quan's little business brain started spinning. If I could find where this wine comes from and buy it at the source price. Oh, cousin, you have no idea that the source is your broke, laughed at, lightning-struck family reject cousin sitting in a crumbling shack in Bamboo Garden, turning 2 silver trash wine into liquid gold with a cooking pot. The tavern was on track to sell out all 50 pounds in a single day. That's 1,000 silver in retail. 500 for Feng's team. And I'm sitting at home with a fresh order, a deposit already in my pocket, and a supply chain that costs me almost nothing. Meanwhile, everyone back at the palace still thinks I'm starving to death in a wasteland. The Zhaoshua Brewing Corporation, Day 2. Revenue climbing. Wives warming up. Haters completely uninformed. Life is good. Now, I wasn't sipping tea at the tavern watching all this go down, but let me tell you what I pieced together later. And it's basically a spy thriller starring an alcoholic horse rancher. My cousin Zhao Quan, fellow family reject, owner of a horse ranch nearby, was sitting in that tavern absolutely addicted to my liquor after 1 glass. This man's brain immediately switched from, wow, good wine, to, I must find the source and steal this business. Step 1 of his genius plan? Get the waiter drunk and bribe him. He bought the poor kid a 2 silver cup of my premium booze and then casually dropped. So, where does your boss get this wine? The waiter sobered up faster than a cat thrown in water. I don't know, sir. And even if I did, I couldn't tell you. Zhao Quan waved a 5 silver bar in his face. The waiter practically drooled, but genuinely had no idea. Dead end. Then, like a gift from the scheming gods, Feng Sihai himself walked through the front door. Tall, confident, dripping with rich guy energy. The whole restaurant started whispering. That's Feng Sihai? He owns half this place. Makes thousands of silver a month. Zhao Quan's eyes lit up like a predator spotting a wounded deer. He faked needing the bathroom and crept upstairs to eavesdrop outside Feng's private room. Classic espionage technique. Very dignified behavior for a member of the royal family. Inside, the tavern owner was handing Feng 300 silver, his 60% cut of the day's profits. All 50 pounds sold out. First wave of customers, and it was gone. The owner was practically begging. Get me more of this wine. Tomorrow there'll be even bigger crowds. Feng agreed and left to arrange the next shipment. Zhao Quan heard everything. His eyes went red with greed. He tailed Feng out of the restaurant, nearly forgot to pay his bill, threw 25 silver at the counter without stopping, and followed him through the streets like a creepy shadow in a detective novel. He watched Feng duck into a quiet alley and whisper instructions to 2 servants. Go to the supplier tomorrow, buy as much as possible. The servants nodded and headed home to prepare their cart and horse. Did Zhao Quan go home? No. This maniac followed the servants to their house, climbed a tree outside their yard, and perched there like a deranged owl, planning his next move. If this wine supplier has no powerful connections, he muttered to himself with the creepiest grin imaginable, then taking over will be easy. So let me get this straight. My own cousin, a fellow Zhao family nobody, is currently sitting in a tree, scheming to rob me of my only source of income, and he doesn't even No, the mysterious master brewer he's hunting is his broke, lightning-struck relative living in a shack with 3 wives and $250,000 in debt. This is fine. Everything is fine. I mean, I didn't know any of this was happening yet. I was probably back home arguing with Miao Shuedwa about sorghum rice and getting my neck crushed by Saya's affectionate hugs. But trouble? Trouble was climbing a tree and grinning at me from across the county. The wine business just got its first competitor. And he's family. Of course he's family. Day 2, and I was already living like a CEO on vacation, lying on a homemade recliner chair. Yeah, I built that, while my second batch of liquor sat sealed and ready in the back room. 200 pounds of cheap booze transformed into premium high-proof spirit in 3 hours flat. Even faster than yesterday. Practice makes profit, baby. Miao Shuedwa came outside looking suspicious. You're done already? That was twice as much as yesterday. I just snapped my fingers and smiled. She stood there trying to figure me out, and for the first time I could see it in her eyes. This woman is starting to realize she can't put me in a box. Yesterday, I was a drunk idiot. Today, I'm a mysterious genius. Tomorrow? Who knows? Character development is wild. Then Yi Qingwen floated out of the house, stretching like a kitten, and immediately froze mid-yawn. Her nose went into overdrive. What I that smell? It's incredible. Dinner's almost ready, little foodie. I grinned. Now here's the thing about this world. Cooking technology is basically stuck in the Stone Age. Everything is boiled. Everything. Rich people boil stuff with salt. Poor people boil stuff without salt. That's the entire culinary spectrum. Gordon Ramsay would have a stroke. But I'm from the future. I know about seasoning, roasting, flavor profiles. I had Saya bring out the spread, a whole pot of braised chicken stew, a beggar's chicken baked underground in clay, and a roasted chicken glistening with homemade spice rub and dripping with juicy fat. 3 wild chickens total cost. Less than 1 silver. Return on investment. 3 wives losing their minds. I handed Yi Qingwen a drumstick. She bit into it, and her eyes rolled back. I have never eaten chicken this good in my life. I placed the other drumstick in Miao Shuedwa's bowl. This is the woman who ate chicken every single day at her fancy marquee mansion and got bored of it. She took 1 bite of my roast chicken, and her whole face changed. Her eyes went wide. Her jaw stopped mid-chew. The Ice Queen was melting. You made this? I ate chicken daily at the Marquis residence and never tasted anything like this. She had spice crumbs all over her lips and didn't even care. The former noble lady was eating with her hands like a happy cave woman. My heart grew 3 sizes. Saya? She skipped the drumsticks entirely, bit the chicken but right off the bird, and demolished half the stew pot by herself. This woman eats like a competitive athlete at a buffet. I respect it deeply. Oh, and I also bought 100 pounds of actual rice. Real, polished, premium white rice. Not that throat-shredding sorghum nightmare from yesterday. 10 silver for 100 pounds. When Yi Qingwen saw real rice in her bowl, she looked at me like I'd handed her diamonds. We also had proper white rice with chicken stew spooned over it. I was shoveling it into my mouth thinking, this is what success tastes like. Literally. But then, the real show started. Outside the manor walls, the entire village had gathered. 500-something starving people, drawn by the smell of roasted chicken drifting over the courtyard like an edible siren song. Kids were drooling waterfalls. Women were swallowing hard. Old men were sniffing the air like hunting dogs. Is that meat? And rice? If I could eat that, I'd die happy. Old Manly, the same guy who glared at me like I was Satan's tax collector. Yesterday, was out front organizing the crowd with a big smile on his face. Everyone calm down. The Lord says he'll distribute food tonight, and he has a major announcement. Line up, no pushing, 24 hours. That's all it took to turn hostile village elder into enthusiastic PR manager. Turns out feeding people is the fastest political strategy in history. The villagers were lining up. My wives were eating chicken and looking at me with actual affection. My liquor inventory was doubled and ready to ship. And I had a big announcement plan that was going to change everything for Bamboo Garden. Day 2 recap. Invented fine dining in a medieval wasteland. Earned 3 wife approval points. Converted 1 angry elder into a loyal supporter. And still had time for a nap on my custom recliner. The lightning-struck idiot is cooking, literally and figuratively. After dinner, I let the food settle for exactly long enough to feel like a king, then told Saya to open the gates. Big announcement time. The doors swung open and 500+ people flooded into my courtyard like Black Friday shoppers. They were squeezing, pushing, cramming. This yard was not designed for this many humans. People were still trying to worm their way in through the gate, while the place was already packed wall to wall. Saya shot me a look that said, "I told you we can't keep feeding these freeloaders." I stood up on my little stool and dropped the news. Tonight, everyone gets another half-pound of grain. But this is the last free handout. Starting tomorrow, you eat what you earn. The crowd went dead quiet. 500 pairs of hungry eyes locked on me. Old Man Li, now fully converted to Team Zhao Shua, stepped forward. "Whatever you need, Lord, just say it. I'm starting a brewery. 10 workers needed. 3 silver per month each." The place erupted. Every young man in the village started screaming and waving their hands like they were trying to flag down a rescue helicopter. Me? Pick me. I have brewing experience. I'm strong. I can lift things. 3 silver a month buys 100 pounds of grain, enough to feed an entire family. Some of the single guys were already calculating that they could afford 2 wives on that salary. Priorities, gentlemen. Oh, and fun fact, the village population had jumped from 580 yesterday to 650 today. Word travels fast when a new lord starts handing out food. People were migrating back. My approval rating was skyrocketing. I picked 10 guys from the crowd. They reacted like lottery winners. One dude's wife screamed from the back, "Honey, work hard." Some single women started whispering about which of the chosen guys was available. 3 silver a month apparently makes you the Brad Pitt of Famine Village. Everyone who didn't get picked looked like their puppy just died. Some started shuffling toward the grain distribution, ready to take their last free meal and leave. Not so fast. Also, Saya picked 10 more young men for a transport and security team. Same pay, 3 silver a month. Starting tomorrow, we're doubling our supply runs. More booze, more grain, more carts. The crowd spun back around so fast I thought some of them would get whiplash. Hope reignited. Eyes gleaming. More jobs. I did some quick math in my head while everyone was celebrating. Today's expenses nearly wiped me clean. For 100 silver on cheap wine, 60 on grain, 10 on rice, 25 on a cart, 1 silver on 3 wild chickens. I was basically running on Feng's 200 silver deposit and my mom's secret savings. The cash flow was tight. Thinking about mom's money made me clench my fist. She's back there getting treated like dirt while I'm out here building an empire from scratch. Every silver coin matters. Every day counts. And everyone else, I announced to the remaining crowd, starting tomorrow, go into the bamboo forest and start harvesting bamboo. 3 meals a day provided. Nobody argued. When a man feeds you during a famine, you cut whatever bamboo he wants. Here's the part nobody knows yet, my real secret weapon. See, this world's military technology is hilariously primitive. Most soldiers fight in cloth armor. Cloth. Only elite units get bronze plate armor. The average grunt goes into battle wearing what's basically a thick shirt and hoping for the best. But bamboo armor, properly woven using techniques from my modern knowledge, is an absolute game changer. Stronger than bronze plates. Blocks arrows, spear thrusts, and blunt hits. It's lightweight, cheap to produce, and I'm literally sitting on an unlimited supply of raw material. Now let me break down the real economics. This world's brewers spend 3 months making 10 pounds of weak wine from 100 pounds of grain. 3 months for a few silver in profit. Pathetic. My modern techniques? Half a month to a month. 50+ pounds of premium high-proof liquor from the same amount of grain at a fraction of the cost. My 3 silver investment in grain produces more value than their 200 silver purchase of pre-made cheap wine. Booze for fast cash. Bamboo armor for military contracts. And somewhere under this village, an iron mine waiting to make me obscenely wealthy. 3 revenue streams. A growing workforce. A village coming back to life. Miao Shuedwo watched the whole crowd scene from the doorway, finally starting to see the bigger picture. Saya looked at me, then at the cheering villagers, then back at me, and I could actually see the respect downloading into her brain in real time. The lightning-struck idiot has a business plan, ladies. And it's just getting started. Woke up at dawn feeling motivated. Did 20 push-ups and almost died. My body is essentially a noodle with arms. But hey, you gotta start somewhere. Can't build a business empire and get assassinated because you couldn't outrun a slow guy. I was mid-pant when a 6-year-old kid banged on my gate like a tiny alarm system. Lord, sir, someone's coming. I looked down the main road and spotted a familiar cart. Feng's guys, back for more booze. Before sunrise. These people are fiending for my product like it's liquid crack. I tipped the kid 10 copper coins. He looked at me with the biggest smile and yelled, "Thank you, Lord Sir. May you have 10 sons." Kid's got the right energy. I like him. He's hired. Future VP of marketing. Feng's boys pulled up and immediately started begging. "Boss Xiao, please tell us you have more wine. Our master is desperate." I leaned against the doorframe, casual as humanly possible. Well, I was actually saving this batch for personal drinking. Their faces dropped. But since your boss asked nicely, I suppose I can part with some. What's the price? Same deal as before, 10 silver per pound. But, bonus offer, if I supply 100 pounds, Feng will send me a premium horse from up north. Not a farm donkey. A real horse. Fast, rideable, military grade. Worth over 100 silver easily. I pretended to think about it for approximately 0.3 seconds. Deal. My 10 new brewery workers had just arrived for their first day, so I put them straight to work hauling jars. 10 guys, 10 jars, boom, 100 pounds of liquid gold loaded onto the cart in minutes. Efficiency. The delivery boys sniffed the jars and went glassy-eyed. This batch smells even better than yesterday. They handed me a fat bag of 1,000 silver and a horse voucher, then rode off into the sunrise. 1,000 silver. Before breakfast. I haven't even brushed my teeth yet. I stood there holding that money bag, grinning like an idiot, watching the cart disappear down the bamboo road. Then I got to work. Paid my 10 brewers their first month's wages up front. 3 silver each, 30 total. These guys looked at those little bags of silver like I'd handed them the keys to a mansion. One of them literally pledged his life to me on the spot. Another promised to work like it was his own family business. The gratitude was so thick you could spread it on toast. Everything was going perfectly. Sun shining, money flowing, workers motivated, wives probably still sleeping peacefully inside. And then the gate opened. In walked Trouble wearing a silk robe and carrying a folding fan like some kind of discount villain from a bad kung fu movie. My cousin Zhao Quan, the horse ranch alcoholic who'd been stalking Feng's supply chain like a creepy bloodhound. Behind him, 15 thugs in black. Big guys. Scary guys. Some of them had criminal tattoos on their faces, marks given to convicted murderers exiled to the frontier. These weren't hired muscle. These were hired psychopaths. My brewery workers took one look at this crew and nearly soiled themselves. One guy actually fell on the ground in terror. Fair reaction, honestly. I wasn't feeling super brave myself. One of the tattooed gorillas snarled at my workers. "What are you looking at? You dirt farmers." Real classy entrance. Zhao Quan sauntered up to me, fan waving, nose in the air, grinning like a cat cornering a mouse. "Zhao Shua, right? I think I've seen that name in the family register somewhere. Give me half your wine production, and I won't make this difficult for you." He paused for dramatic effect. Otherwise. He left the threat hanging there like a cartoon anvil over my head, while 15 convicted killers cracked their knuckles behind him. So let me get this straight. I've been in business for 2 days. My product is so good that it attracted a merchant within hours and a hostile takeover within 48. I'm being shaken down by my own cousin, who brought an entire gang of face-tattooed murderers to my crumbling courtyard, while my total security force consists of one angry foreign wife. Somewhere out there, Grandpa is sipping tea thinking I've already starved to death. Meanwhile, I'm standing in my yard holding 1,000 silver, staring down a small army, trying to figure out how to not get robbed on a Tuesday morning. Entrepreneurship is thrilling. This clown had the audacity to look at my wives and start drooling. Right in front of me, in my courtyard. "These are your 3 wives? Very pretty. Hey, sweetheart, want to come to my horse ranch tonight for a drink?" He said that. To my wives. While I was standing right there. Saya was ready to rip his head off, but she counted 15 armed murderers and did the math. Bad odds if she had to protect me too. Miao Shuadwa froze. Yi Qingwen looked terrified. The 15 tattooed goons all crossed their arms and laughed like cartoon villains. They were sure they had this in the bag. 1 scrawny lord, 10 scared brewery workers, 3 women, versus 16 armed men, including convicted killers. So I did what any rational businessman would do. I grabbed the biggest stick I could find and cracked Zhao Quan across the forehead. Bonk. Blood. Faceplant. Mouth full of dirt. My dear cousin went down like a sack of potatoes dropped from a rooftop. You want half my wine? In your dreams. I don't care who you are. Act tough in my house, and this stick doesn't check family trees. The entire courtyard went silent. 15 professional killers just watched their boss get bonked by a skinny guy with a wooden pole. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Behind me, I could feel Saya's jaw physically unhinging. This man, her noodle-armed, zero combat skill husband, just cold-cocked a dude in front of his own gang without a millisecond of hesitation. I think she fell in love a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. Miao Shuadwa? Tears in her eyes. Actual tears. The Ice Queen was moved. Yi Qingwen screamed from behind. Husband, you're amazing. I love you. Thanks, babe. Very helpful in a hostage situation. Zhao Quan scrambled to the back of his crew like a cockroach running from light and screamed, "Get him! Kill him!" 15 thugs drew their swords. Real blades. Real killing intent. My brewery workers nearly wet themselves. Some were shaking. One guy looked like he was mentally writing his will. Time for the legal card. You sure you want to fight the Zhao royal family? I roared, channeling every ounce of authority I didn't actually have. I am a Zhao. By royal law, anyone who harms a Zhao family member gets their entire clan wiped out. 3 generations. No mercy. No exceptions. The thugs froze mid-step. These guys are criminals, sure, but criminals who want to live. Killing some random farmer? No big deal. Killing a member of the royal Zhao bloodline? That's a death sentence for everyone they've ever loved. Hesitation. Beautiful, beautiful hesitation. Now for my workers. They were still trembling, so I dropped the money bomb. Anyone who takes down one of these men, 100 silver reward. Their eyes went from, I'm going to die, to, I'm going to be rich, in about half a second. One guy named Sun Air gripped his carrying pole like a baseball bat and screamed, Lord Zhao, I will die for you today. The other 9 immediately followed. We pledge our lives. Nothing motivates starving farmers like enough money to feed their families for years. These men went from cowering villagers to berserker warriors powered by pure economic incentive. The thugs were doing their own math now. 15 of them versus 10 enraged farmers with nothing to lose. Plus me swinging a stick like a maniac. Plus Saya, who could probably solo 3 of them. Not great odds for a clean getaway. Then I whispered to Saya, go get everyone. She bolted out the door before anyone could blink. That woman is fast. Within minutes, I heard it. The thundering footsteps of 700 villagers charging toward my house. Men with sickles. Women with hoes. Old guys with shovels. Even kids showed up looking angry. 200 armed farmers crashed through my gates like a peasant tsunami. The 15 hardened criminal warriors looked at the ocean of furious villagers surrounding them, looked at their swords, looked at each other, and their legs turned to jelly. Their leader dropped his weapon first. Lord Zhao, please, be the bigger man. Just let us go like a fart in the wind. He literally asked me to treat them like a fart. That's the most dignified surrender in military history. One by one, all 15 dropped their weapons and begged for mercy. Zhao Quan was fuming. His brilliant intimidation plan had ended with him bleeding from his forehead, his entire gang surrendering to farmers, and 700 people ready to compost him into fertilizer. Zhao Shua, you'll pay for this. I'll make sure you never sell another drop of wine. And with that devastating threat, he stormed off with his tail between his legs. Day 3. I've been a lord for 72 hours. I've already survived my first hostile takeover attempt, discovered that I'm apparently willing to assault armed men with sticks, and learned that 700 loyal villagers are worth more than any army. Also, I might need to invest in actual security. Just a thought. I knew that Weasel wouldn't stay gone for long. Zhao Quan went home after his humiliation, smashed his teacup like a toddler having a tantrum, screamed at his 15 thugs for being useless, and then his slimy little advisor whispered a new plan into his ear. Cut off my supply route. Block the only road out of Bamboo Garden. Starve me out. Evil? Yes. Clever? That also yes. I hate it when villains are competent. I was in the back room distilling another batch when one of my workers burst in screaming. Lord, big problem. A 17-year-old kid who'd been cutting bamboo came running in drenched in sweat. There's a whole army blocking the crossroads. Some of them are the same guys from this morning. My blood went cold. Block the road means no wine deliveries, no supply runs, no money. No money means no food. No food means everyone dies. Simple math. Terrible math. I tried to play it cool in front of my wives. It's nothing. I'll go check it out. All three immediately shut that down. Miao Shuedwa. We're coming with you. Yi Qingwen. I'm not letting you go alone, Saya. Me too. Despite being exhausted from a full morning of supply runs. So we marched toward the crossroads, and as we walked, villagers started joining us. Farmers with sickles, women with hoes, old men with whatever heavy object was nearby. By the time we reached the intersection, I had a small mob behind me. But what was waiting on the other side made my stomach drop. Zhao Quan sat on a black war horse looking like a discount emperor. Behind him, not 15 guys this time. 65. 50 new horsemen in addition to the original 15, all on military horses, armed with cavalry swords and lances. Trained riders. Actual combat-ready cavalry. My army? Angry farmers with gardening tools and no formation whatsoever. Zhao Quan's grin was so wide it could have swallowed the sun. Little nobody. I told you I'd shut down your wine business. Now the price has gone up. 80% of your production. For free. Plus you crawl between my legs on your knees to apologize. Oh, and your 3 wives? They come when I call, my wives. He wanted my wives on speed dial. This man was reading from the official villain handbook, chapter 1. Before I could respond, he gave one of his riders a look. The horseman charged straight into my crowd at full gallop. People were knocked flying, scrambling, screaming. An old woman tried to run. She didn't make it. The rider drove his lance clean through her. Dead. Just like that. An innocent, old woman. Murdered to make a point. My people were furious, but helpless. You can't chase a horse on foot. Several more villagers got trampled in the charge. Zhao Quan sat there laughing like he'd just watched a comedy show. See what happens when you cross me. I stood there watching the blood pool on the ground, and something inside me went very, very quiet. Not scared quiet. The other kind. The kind where you stop feeling angry and start making a list. Zhao Quan just went on my permanent list. The kind you don't come off of, ever. A villager whispered nervously beside me. Lord, this guy runs the military horse ranch. He's got trained cavalry, hired killers, outlaw warriors. He's powerful. Miao Shuedwo went white as paper. Husband, maybe we should just give him what he wants. Yi Qingwen grabbed my arm. We can make less money. People's lives matter more. Even Saya, my fearless warrior wife, looked grim. I'm not afraid to fight. But they're blocking the road. Tomorrow we can't sell wine or buy supplies. We're trapped. Everyone I cared about was telling me to surrender, to give up most of my income, to let this man have power over my wives, to crawl between his legs like a dog. An old woman was dead on the ground because of me, because I dared to be successful for exactly 2 days. I said nothing, just stared at Zhao Quan across that road with a face so cold even Saya looked at me sideways. He killed one of my people, in front of everyone, to prove he could. This isn't a business rivalry anymore. This is war. And Zhao Quan has absolutely no idea what kind of enemy he just created. Because the thing about a man from the future with nothing to lose, he doesn't forget, and he doesn't forgive. But right now, standing at a crossroads with 65 armed horsemen staring me down and a dead grandmother at my feet, I need a plan. A real one. Fast. Being an entrepreneur in ancient China is going to kill me before the debt does. My people thought I was going to fold. I could see it on their faces. The Lord's wives are telling him to give up. It's over. Some were already mourning that old auntie's death as meaningless. Not a chance. 8%. Not happening. 80%. Are you dreaming? Not even 1%. And the man who hurt my people just got permanently added to my blacklist. He can wait and see what that means. The crowd behind me erupted. Applause like thunder. For one beautiful moment, I felt like a revolutionary leader giving a speech. Except my army has pitchforks and zero training, and we're all probably going to starve. Zhao Quan threw a tantrum from his horse. Fine. Boys, nobody gets in or out of Bamboo Garden. No wagons leave, no wagons enter. Let's see how long this idiot lasts. He left 65 cavalry soldiers camped at the crossroads like a medieval highway toll booth from hell, then rode back to his ranch promising to send them cooked lamb. Lamb. His blockade troops are eating better than my entire village. The audacity is almost impressive. Back at the manor, the mood was pure doom and gloom. Miao Shuedwa sat on a stool, looking like someone canceled the future. Yi Qingwen squatted in silence doing mental math on how many days our grain would last. Spoiler, not many. Saya was stress-kicking flowers in the courtyard and muttering swear words in 2 languages. We can't sell wine now, Miao Shuedwa said, completely deflated. Yi Qingwen did the breakdown. 6,000 pounds of grain, half goes to brewing. The other half feeds 700 mouths. That's days, not weeks. Saya's solution? Let's just fight them all. Bless her violent heart. Meanwhile, I walked out of the distillery having just converted another 400 pounds of cheap wine into 200 pounds of premium spirit. Business continues even during a siege. Call it optimism. Call it denial. Either way, the liquor keeps flowing. Then came the part that really mattered. Not the booze. Not the blockade strategy. The people. I told Saya to visit every injured villager and bring them grain and silver. For the wounded, food and a couple silver coins each. For the family of the old woman who was killed, 100 silver. Saya's eyes went wide. 100? That's so much. There's a reason for everything I do. See, there's this ancient story about a king who paid a fortune for a dead horse's bones. Not because dead horse bones are useful, but because word spread that this king pays well, and soon every horse breeder in the land came running. That's me right now. 100 silver for a dead grandmother isn't just compassion. It's an investment in absolute loyalty. Every person in this village will remember that their lord valued their family when it counted. Cold, maybe, but also real, and also genuine. Because that old woman is dead because of me, because of my success, because Zhao Quan targeted my people to get to me. The least I can do is make sure her children don't starve. Saya made the rounds. 1 injured guy tried to refuse his 10 pounds of grain and 2 silver. 3 madam, the Lord has enough problems. Give this to the workers. He literally crawled off his bed with injuries to push the money back. Saya, who has the emotional delicacy of a sledgehammer, just dumped everything on his floor and walked out. Then came the hard visit. Old Annie Lou's family. For kids. 2 sons, 2 daughters. No mother anymore. Crying over a body laid on broken wooden planks. The eldest daughter was sobbing. Did Mama die for nothing? Will the Lord even care? The eldest son was trying to hold it together. I heard some injured people got a little grain. Maybe we'll get some scraps too. Then, Saya kicked their door open, because knocking is apparently not in her vocabulary, and dropped 2 50 silver bars on their broken table without a single word of comfort. Just clunk clunk and walked out like a delivery robot with attitude. 100 silver. More money than that family has ever seen in their collective lives. The eldest daughter collapsed crying. Mama, you can rest in peace now. The eldest son wiped his eyes and said something that made everything worth it. After we bury Mother tomorrow, I'm going back to work. Harder than before. That's the return on investment. Not silver. Not loyalty points. A man who just lost his mother choosing to keep working because he believes in what we're building. So here's the scoreboard. I've got 65 horsemen blocking my only road, a rapidly shrinking food supply, 200 pounds of premium liquor I can't deliver, a cousin who wants me dead, and 700 people whose survival depends entirely on my next move. But I also have something Zhao Quan will never have. People who would literally refuse free money because they think I need it more. Now I just need to figure out how to sell wine through a military blockade. No pressure. Zhao Quan thought he was a genius. Block the main road. Starve me out. Game over. Classic villain playbook. What he forgot is that roads are like opinions. Everybody's got more than one. But first, let me tell you about the evening before. My villagers came back from the bamboo forest looking like human pack mules. Men carrying 200 pounds of bamboo on their backs. Women hauling nearly as much. These people ate full meals today, and the difference was unreal. Yesterday, they were zombies. Today, they were machines. Word was spreading through the village about my compensation for the injured. One guy, yellow number 3, hobbling around with a limp, was literally bragging about his injuries to everyone on the street. The Lord gave me 10 pounds of grain and 2 silver coins. People's jaws hit the floor. 2 silver buys almost 100 pounds of food. For a BREWS. Suddenly, every villager was doing mental math on how much a broken arm might be worth. I accidentally created an incentive to get injured. Note to self, fix that later. The bamboo they brought back was perfect, thick, tough, exactly the kind I needed for armor. These folks weren't just hacking randomly. They were actually selecting the best pieces. My people are learning. I'm so proud I could cry. I announced the next phase. 50 women needed for bamboo processing, stripping the stalks into long, flexible strips for weaving. 3 meals a day, same deal. Hands shot up everywhere. Then something happened that genuinely moved me. One woman stepped forward and said, "Lord, don't feed us full meals. Half portions are fine. We know the road is blocked and food is running out." Others joined in. Even the men started volunteering to eat less. These people, who were literally starving 3 days ago, were offering to go hungry again to help me survive. Yi Qingwen tugged my sleeve, eyes worried. "Husband, they're right. We can't sell wine or buy supplies with the road blocked." I looked at all of them. My worried wife, my anxious villagers, 700 people who chose to follow a broke nobody because he fed them during a famine. And I said, "Full meals. No cuts. I have a plan." Then I turned around and walked inside before anyone could ask what the plan was. Because dramatic exits are important for leadership. Old Manly stared at my closing door and muttered, "What plan could he possibly have? The road is blocked." "Oh, Lee." Sweet, doubtingly. Next morning, crack of dawn, I woke up, stretched, did my little workout routine, and called Sire over. "Saddle a horse. Strap on 2 jars of wine. We're going out." She looked at me like I'd finally snapped. "Going where?" "The road is blocked. Just do it." She was giving me full, grumpy wife energy. Arms crossed, zero smile. "I'm only doing this because you're technically my husband" face. She grabbed the horse and loaded the wine while I stuffed half a bag of potatoes and some mystery supplies into a sack. Then I told 2 of my transport guys to grab the table and chairs from the courtyard. They were whispering behind me, "Why is the Lord carrying furniture into the wilderness? Maybe he's running away?" If he was running, why would he bring chairs, you idiot? We hiked around the back of the mountain to a narrow little trail I'd been eyeing since I first studied the map of this territory. It was small, winding, sandy, terrible for wagons, but perfect for horseback riders. And here's the key. It didn't go to the market town where Zhao Quan's goons were camped. It went straight to the county seat and the military outposts, a shortcut that cavalry soldiers and rich travelers used all the time. Saya stared at the trail. "We're selling wine here? In the middle of nowhere." "This isn't nowhere. This is a highway for people with money and horses." I set up the table and chairs like a 5-star restaurant in the wilderness. Unpacked the iron cooking pot, the only decent piece of equipment in my entire manor. Started a fire. Began cooking. Wine on the table. Potatoes sizzling. Aroma drifting down the trail like a scented trap. Zhao Quan blocked the front door? Fine. I'll sell out the back window. "The road is dead," I told Saya as I cooked. "But I'm alive. My fate is mine, not heaven's." She watched me set up a roadside tavern on a mountain trail with 2 chairs, a cooking pot, and 20 pounds of premium liquor. And for the first time since the blockade started, her grumpy face cracked into something that might have been a smile. Zhao Quan is sitting at the crossroads with 65 men guarding an empty road, eating his fancy lamb, thinking he's won. Meanwhile, I'm around the corner running a pop-up restaurant. Adapt, improvise, overcome, and always bring chairs. I set up the world's first pop-up restaurant on a mountain goat trail, and within minutes, I was printing money. Here's the secret weapon Zhao Quan never saw coming. Cooking. Not just my premium booze. Actual food that nobody in this entire civilization has ever tasted. Because guess what this world doesn't have? Stir-frying. Seasoning. Flavor. I heated up my iron wok, dropped in a chunk of pork fat, threw in julienne potatoes, and hit it with chili peppers. The sizzle alone could have sold tickets. Saya was standing behind me looking skeptical. "This trail is in the middle of nowhere. Who's going to buy wine out here?" Then the smell hit her. Her entire attitude did a 180 in about 2 seconds. What? I asked that. "I want to eat it right now." She literally tried to grab food out of the wok with her bare hands. I had to slap her away like a raccoon raiding a campsite. "Hands off. This is for customers. You eat at lunch." The 2 transport guys were standing there drooling so hard they looked like broken fountains. These men thought sorghum rice was fine dining 24 hours ago, and now they're smelling spicy stir-fried potatoes and having a religious experience. Then, hoofbeats. 3 military riders came thundering down the trail. A captain named Zhou Qi and 2 officers, running urgent dispatches to the king's headquarters. They'd been riding nonstop for 3 days with no food. Zhou Qi's nose caught the scent from 50 yards out. His horse was still moving, but his brain had already stopped at my table. What is that smell? He pulled up to my little roadside setup. 1 table. 3 chairs, a wok full of golden stir-fried potatoes, a pot of egg-fried rice, and 2 jars of premium liquor, and his eyes went full cartoon mode. Time for the menu. Spicy stir-fried potato shreds, 2 silver per plate. Egg-fried rice, 1 silver per plate. Premium wine, 20 silver per pound. Zhou Qi didn't even flinch at the prices. This man hadn't eaten in over a day, and my food smelled like heaven had a kitchen. He jumped off his horse so fast I thought he fell. First bite of fried rice. This is the best thing I have ever eaten. I've dined at the general's mansion. I've eaten at the king's palace. Nothing compares. His officer tried the spicy potatoes and literally screamed, "Captain, try this. Spicy. Savory. Incredible." Zhou Qi took 1 bite of my chili potato shreds and his face went through about 7 emotions in 2 seconds. He slammed the table. More? Another round of rice for all 3. Another plate of potatoes. And fill our water canteens with wine. We're taking it on the road. Let me do the math on this one transaction. 3 plates of fried rice, 3 silver. 1 plate of potatoes, 2 silver. 1 pound of wine for the table, 20 silver. Second round of everything, another 5 silver. 6 pounds of wine for their canteens at 20 silver per pound, 120 silver. Total bill, 150 silver. From one group of customers. Before noon, Zhou Qi rubbed his belly, tossed me 3 fat 50 silver bars like they were pocket change, told me he'd be back, and galloped off into the distance. Saya's mouth was hanging open. Then she did the thing. She launched herself at me from behind and wrapped her arms around my neck in her signature love chokehold. 150 silver. Husband, you're a genius. Can't breathe. Oh, sorry. She let go? I gasped for air. This woman expresses affection the same way a python does. I sent my 2 guys back to the manor to load up all the remaining wine, 200 pounds of it. My first jar was almost empty, and the sun was barely up. This trail was a gold mine. Military couriers, traveling nobles, cavalry officers, all riding fast, all hungry, all with money, and none of them passing through Zhao Quan's pathetic little blockade. My cousin is sitting at the main crossroads with 65 men guarding an empty road, eating cold lamb, waiting for me to surrender. Meanwhile, I'm around the mountain running a Michelin star restaurant out of a cooking pot, selling egg-fried rice to army captains at a 1,000% markup. The road is blocked. There's always another road. My fate is mine, not heaven's, and definitely not Zhao Quan's. Meanwhile, at my blocked main road, you know, the one Zhao Quan is so proud of guarding, his boys were having a fantastic morning. Sleeping in a field, complaining about back pain, getting paid 1 silver a day plus all-you-can-eat lamb to sit there and do absolutely nothing. They did successfully turn away Feng's delivery crew, though. 2 wagons. For workers, the thugs waved swords. Feng's guys turned white as ghosts and bolted. The tattooed goon squad was celebrating like they'd won a war. That Zhao Shua's done for. No customers, no money, no food. He's finished. I heard he's feeding the whole village. What an idiot. He's got people cutting bamboo. Bamboo. What's he gonna do? Build a bamboo castle? The ringleader, a charming fellow named Gulao Lu, cracked the joke of the century. Maybe he'll drink water until he's full. They all howled with laughter. Adorable. Really, truly adorable. Because at that exact moment, on the other side of the mountain, I was drowning in customers. By noon, I'd sold half my stock, 100 pounds of premium wine, plus almost 200 plates of egg-fried rice and over 100 plates of spicy potato shreds. Just the food earned me over 400 silver. The wine was on top of that. My 100-pound bag of rice was completely gone. Sold out before lunch. Costs. Almost nothing. 10 silver worth of rice. A few potatoes. Some eggs. Pig fat. Chili peppers. Life was so good I built a little tent by the roadside and invited Saya to rest with me inside. Come relax with me, wifey. Okay. Coming. She dove into the tent and immediately started wrestling me. Roughhousing. I honestly don't know what to call it. All I know is my screams of pain echoed across the mountain trail, while my 2 transport guys sat outside pretending not to hear, exchanging knowing smirks. Saya's idea of physical affection would be classified as assault in most countries. Then, the big fish arrived. An hour after my near-death experience, I spotted a 21-man cavalry unit coming down the trail. Leading them was a man in white robes with an expensive jade pendant, riding a beautiful white horse, the kind of guy who looks like he belongs on a movie poster. This was Li Dingxian, the Earl of the West, commander of 5,000 elite cavalry soldiers called the Western Pacification Corps, a self-made military legend who fought his way up from nothing to become one of the Empire's most decorated war heroes. He was being recalled to the capital, probably because the royal families were scared he'd get too successful. In other words, exactly my kind of customer. He rode up to my little roadside stall and looked down at me from his horse with mild amusement. "Selling wine out here?" "Sure am." "Want a bowl?" His bodyguard nearly drew his sword on me for being too casual with nobility. The Earl waved him off. "Give me a taste." Though I doubt there's anything good in a place like this, I gave my guy the nod. He cracked open a fresh jar. The moment that seal broke, the aroma hit the Earl like a freight train. His eyes went huge. This man, who has dined at generals' tables and the king's own palace, literally jumped off his horse mid-sniff. He grabbed the bowl, downed it in one gulp, and slammed it on my little table. Incredible. In this wilderness, a wine this perfect exists? More. Give me another. The man was having a spiritual awakening over my distilled garbage wine. His 20 bodyguards were all staring with their mouths open. Their commander, a legendary warrior who fights barbarian hordes for a living, was chugging bowls of liquor at a folding table on a dirt path, grinning like a kid at a birthday party. Zhao Quan is guarding an empty road with 65 men, eating cold lamb, thinking he's won. I'm on the other side of the mountain, making personal connections with the Empire's most powerful military commander over stir-fried potatoes. Some people play checkers. I play chess. On a different board. In a different building. With a walk. The Earl of the West bought all my remaining wine. Every single drop. 100 pounds, gone in one conversation. His guys were filling water canteens with premium liquor like they were stocking a nuclear bunker for the apocalypse. But here's where things got really interesting. Li Dingxian, decorated war hero, commander of 5,000 elite cavalry, basically the most badass man in the northern frontier, put down his drink, looked at me, and said, "You're not a normal person. Come back to the capital with me. I'll set you up. Your own brewery. Your own restaurant. I'll fund everything." A nobleman just offered to bankroll me. Most people would have fainted and said yes before hitting the ground. I turned him down. "Thanks, but I like it here. Besides, the northern border needs defending. Real men should stand at the front line and protect the Empire's last wall of defense." I said this while stir-frying potatoes. In a walk. On a dirt trail. Wearing yesterday's clothes. Li Dingxian's chopsticks stopped midair. His bodyguard stopped chewing. 20 soldiers froze. The wind probably stopped blowing for dramatic effect. Did a roadside cook just out-philosophize me? The Earl, a man who literally fights barbarian invasions for a living, looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You're a better man than I am." His bodyguard leaned over and whispered, "Sir, he's just some nobody who fries potatoes. Don't waste your attention." "Shut up," Li Dingxian snapped. This dude does not tolerate snobbery. He rose from nothing himself, won the Imperial Martial Arts Championship through pure talent and grit, earned his title without family connections. He respects people who start from zero. People like me. Then we got into military strategy. Because apparently that's what happens when you sell enough booze to a general, the conversation evolves. The northern barbarians have an advantage, I explained between egg flips. They're mobile, they're fast, their cavalry archery is devastating. But if our troops had proper defensive armor, lightweight but strong enough to block arrows and spear thrusts, combined with longer-range weapons and solid battle formations, those horsemen wouldn't stand a chance. Li Dingxian's expression went through surprise, skepticism, and then intense interest. He was thinking, "Nice theory, kid, but where are you getting armor like that? Iron is so rare in this empire that only the palace guards have iron-plated gear, and even that's just iron chips sewn onto leather. Full iron armor? Doesn't exist outside of fantasy." Then I leaned in close and dropped the real bomb. "I can supply you with armor. Lightweight. Defense comparable to full iron plate. I just need you to promise not to resell it." His eyes nearly popped out of his skull. You're serious? He searched my face for any trace of BS. Found none. Because I was serious. My bamboo armor project isn't some pipe dream. I've got 700 people harvesting bamboo right now, and the weaving techniques in my head can produce protection that would make iron jealous. The Earl pulled out a personal token, a Li family medallion, and pressed it into my hand. Here, I have a residence in Shenyang County. When the armor is ready, deliver it there. Then he asked the magic question, is there anything you need help with right now? I'm leaving for the capital soon. A decorated military commander with 5,000 soldiers just handed me his personal VIP card and asked how he could help me. The potato-frying roadside wine cellar. Zhao Quan is sitting at a crossroads with 65 men, guarding an empty road, eating cold lamb, thinking he's strangling my business. I just made friends with an ERL, who commands 5,000 cavalry, who now owes me a favor, and who wants my products. Some people solve problems with force. I solve them with egg-fried rice, spicy potatoes, and really good conversation. The networking event on this dirt trail just became the most important business meeting of my life. And it cost me about 3 silver in ingredients. Saya has zero chill and even less patience for diplomacy. The Earl asked, is there anything you need? And before I could even breathe, Saya blurted out, we need grain. Lots of it. Now, thanks, wifey. Very subtle negotiation technique. But honestly, it worked. Li Dingxian didn't even blink. How much? 10,000 pounds, I said, like I order 5 tons of food every Tuesday. His eyebrows went up. Even a decorated war hero wasn't expecting the potato chef to casually drop a wholesale grocery order that size. But the man has connections in Shenyang County, grain merchants, supply networks, the whole thing. He offered to send a camel caravan to deliver it by tomorrow morning. A camel caravan, delivering grain to MY Village, arranged by an ERL. Because I made him egg-fried rice on a dirt trail. Networking, people. It's all about networking. Then I sealed the real deal. I leaned in and promised him 500 sets of bamboo armor within 1 week. His breathing literally changed. I could see the gears spinning. If this armor is as good as I described, his personal guard becomes an elite force, his position in the capital gets stronger, his mentor's political influence grows. Here, he said, pulling out a bundle. 300 gold pieces. 300 gold. In this economy, 1 gold equals 10 silver. That's 3,000 silver. For a meal and some wine that totaled maybe 2,100 silver. He overpaid by 900 silver and basically dared me to refuse. If you give me change, you're not my friend. What am I going to do? Insult the man? I took the money. Friendship secured. He mounted his white horse, told me the grain caravan would arrive tomorrow, and asked me to keep supplying wine and armor to his residence in Shenyang County. Then he galloped off into the sunset like a movie hero. Wait, what's your name? I shouted at his shrinking silhouette. Li Dingxian. North side of Shenyang County, the Li residence. And then he was gone. Dust cloud. Hoofbeats fading. 21 elite cavalry disappearing over the ridge. I stood there holding 300 gold pieces, a personal military token, and the promise of 10,000 pounds of grain arriving by morning. My total earnings for the day, not counting food costs, came to roughly 5,400 silver. 5,400 in one day, from a trail nobody knew existed. Pack it up, boys. We're going home. My 2 transport guys were practically skipping. They'd eaten egg-fried rice and spicy potatoes for lunch, the best meal of their entire lives, and watched their lord charm an aristocratic military commander into becoming a personal business partner. They were already fighting over who gets to come on the next roadside selling trip. On the walk back, Saya jogged up beside me with her signature confused face. Husband, why did you promise that guy armor? We don't have armor. Did you notice anything about that man? He was nice. He had 20 armed guards. Guards with killer instincts. Those men have seen real battlefields. That's not a merchant. That's a nobleman. And noblemen are exactly who we sell armor to. Her eyes went wide. Then she processed the full picture. I didn't just stumble into this trail. I chose it because military personnel use it as a shortcut to the county seat and frontier outposts. I set up shop knowing soldiers and nobles would ride past. You planned this? She grabbed my ear and twisted it like a radio dial. Tell me how you knew. Ow, ow, ow. His guards had battle energy. They clearly came from real warfare. Let go of my ER. She released me, looking genuinely impressed for maybe the third time since we met. Her husband isn't just a cook and a brewer. He reads people. He spots opportunities. He plays the long game. Let me do today's final scoreboard. Zhao Quan's blockade report. 0 people entered or left through the main road. Mission success. Zhao Shua is definitely starving. Victory is imminent. My actual report. Sold all 200 pounds of wine. Moved hundreds of plates of food. Made friends with an ERL. Secured a 10,000-pound grain delivery. Received 300 gold. Established a new armor supply contract. Found a permanent alternative sales route. Zhao Quan thinks he's playing chess. I'm playing a completely different game, and he's not even on the board. Tomorrow, grain arrives, bamboo armor production begins, and my bankrupt little village takes another step toward becoming the most profitable territory in the entire kingdom. The lightning-struck idiot sends his regards. Li Dingxian is officially my favorite person in this world. The man said, camel caravan tomorrow morning, and delivered a camel caravan tomorrow morning. 20-something camels loaded with grain, rolling up the back trail like an Amazon Prime delivery with 4 legs. I'd woken up early and brought 100 village guys to meet the shipment. The merchant riding alongside pulled up on a spotted horse and asked for my credentials. I flashed the Li family token and his whole attitude shifted to, welcome, valued customer. The haul? 15,000 pounds of grain, 6,000 sorghum, 7,000 corn, 2,000 premium rice. Retail would have been 590 silver. He charged me 500, bulk discount, courtesy of the Earl. I handed him 550 because I'm not the kind of guy who lets people work for free. Tip your delivery drivers, people. It's how you build long-term supply chains. He even threw in a pair of carrier pigeons for future orders. Pigeons. I now have instant messaging in a medieval world. Zhao Quan is blocking a road while I'm literally inventing FedEx. My farmers checked every bag, top quality stuff. 100 men shouldered the sacks and marched it all home in 2 trips. Zhao Quan's blockade guys are sitting at the main crossroads right now, absolutely convinced I'm starving to death, while 100 dudes are hauling 7.5 tons of food through the back door. With the food crisis handled, I immediately put 7,000 pounds of corn into the brewing pipeline. Then I rode 5 miles to a fishing village near a lake and bought 10 fish for 1 silver. 1 silver for 10 fish. The profit margins in this world make me want to weep with joy. Lunchtime rolled around and I cooked up a feast that made my wife's brain short-circuit. Steamed SEA base, braised carp in soy sauce, spicy grilled fish, 3 dishes. 3 cooking methods that don't exist in this civilization. Yi Qingwen was practically vibrating with excitement. Miao Shuedwa, the woman who wouldn't touch sorghum rice 3 days ago, was smiling at me, like she actually liked me. What a time to be alive. Then Saya burst through the door, drenched in sweat, looking like she'd been running for hours. Because she had. Husband, I found wine suppliers. While I was buying fish and being a culinary genius, Saya had been scouting every back road and goat trail in the region. She found 3 brewing estates and an entire brewing village that Zhao Quan's blockade couldn't touch. Total monthly capacity, 15,000 pounds of cheap wine. My brain immediately started calculating. 15,000 pounds of cheap wine at 2 silver per pound. That's 30,000 silver in raw material. Distilled down, the output and markup would be. Then reality punched me. They wanted half the money up front as a deposit. 5,000 silver just for 1 estate. I'd made 5,400 yesterday and already spent 550 this morning on grain. My wallet was doing that thing where it screams when you open it. Miao Shuedwa got angry. Not at me, at Zhao Quan. If that jerk wasn't blocking the main road, we could buy cheap wine anytime from the town. No deposits. No hassle. Yi Qingwen looked like she wanted to help, but had nothing to offer. Both wives glanced at each other. If they had money, they'd hand it over. That silent solidarity hit different. But here's the thing about me. I don't panic buy. I don't let suppliers hold my cash hostage for wine that won't exist for weeks. No deposits, I declared. We buy finished product only. 3 days from now, we take 2,000 pounds. After we sell that, we buy the next 2,000. Cash on delivery. Take it or leave it. Saya blinked. My wives blinked. Then everyone simultaneously realized I wasn't being cheap. I was being smart. Why freeze all my money in deposits when I still need to buy food for 700 people every single day? Keep the cash liquid. Buy what's ready. Sell fast. Reinvest. Miao Shuadwa's face went from frustrated to impressed in about 2 seconds. She stood up, walked over, and for the first time ever, served me rice. With her own hands. With a smile. Here, husband. Let me get you some food. I nearly dropped my chopsticks. The former Marquis's daughter, who wouldn't look at me without contempt 4 days ago, just served me dinner like a loving wife. Voluntarily. Happily. Yi Qingwen was beaming. Saya nodded with respect and went off to finalize the deal. The whole energy in the room had shifted. These 3 women weren't just tolerating me anymore. They were a team. Oh, and Saya, on your way back, pick up some vegetables and maybe a nice fat cow or sheep. I'm cooking something special tonight. I winked at Miao Shuadwa and Yi Qingwen while I said it. Both blushed. Saya rolled her eyes and left. Day 5 scoreboard. 15,000 pounds of grain secured. New wine supply chain established without deposits. Back-channel trade route fully operational. 3 fish dishes invented. 1 ice queen wife now voluntarily serving me dinner. Zhao Quan's blockade score. Still guarding empty road. Still eating cold lamb. Still thinking he's winning. Buddy, you're not even playing the same sport anymore. 3 days of smooth sailing, and I was getting cocky. Grain stocked, wine flowing, back trail business booming. Then the universe said, LOL, watch this, and hit me with a double disaster combo. First, the wine pickup. Saya rode out to that brewery I'd found. Little Peach Winery, run by some snake-waisted woman with a hooked nose and, apparently, the moral compass of a serial killer. What I didn't know at the time was that this lovely lady was watching Saya ride away with 2,000 pounds of wine, doing mental math not on business profits, but on whether it would be more profitable to just rob us next time. Apparently, her side hustle is murdering wealthy travelers who pass through. Charming. I accidentally started a business relationship with a literal murderer. She sent her creepy little henchman to investigate who we are and what we're worth. So that's fun. Another threat I don't know about yet. Lurking in the shadows like a budget horror movie villain. But that problem was invisible. The visible problem hit me like a truck right after lunch. 2 of my bamboo workers came sprinting into the courtyard. Lord, people are collapsing. I ran to the bamboo forest and found 8 people passed out cold on the ground. 5 strong young men, 2 old guys, and a 13-year-old kid, all unconscious, lined up in the shade like fallen soldiers. Our village doctor? Still injured from Zhao Quan's cavalry charge. Of course, I did what I could, pinched their pressure points, fed them water. The kid woke up in my arms, tried to stand, and immediately collapsed again like a newborn deer. I just got dizzy. My body went soft. Then everyone started chiming in. Yeah, me too. I've been feeling weak for days. My legs go numb after an hour. It hit me all at once like a slap to my modern-educated brain. Salt deficiency. These people have been doing intense physical labor, chopping bamboo, hauling hundreds of pounds daily, while eating nothing but plain sorghum and corn. 0 salt. 0 minerals. Their bodies are literally shutting down from electrolyte depletion. I'd been so focused on calories that I completely forgot about basic nutrition. I slapped my own forehead so hard Saya flinched. They need salt. All of them. Miao Shuadwa's face went from concern to panicked. Husband, we only have 500 silver left. Here's where the universe really twisted the knife. Salt in this empire is controlled by the royal family and a cartel of aristocratic salt merchants. They set the prices, distribute through licensed dealers, and mark it up at every level. In the nearby town, 25 silver per pound for the cheapest, nastiest, grittiest rock salt you've ever seen. But wait, the town is blocked by Zhao Quan's goons. The backtrail villages? Those local landlords are even worse. They're hoarding salt and selling it to desperate travelers at 50 silver per pound. For garbage-quality crude salt. Yi Qingwen did the math and nearly fainted. 50 silver a pound? 500 silver buys us 10 pounds. 10 pounds of salt for 700 people? That's nothing, she's right. 10 pounds spread across 700 people doing heavy labor would last maybe 3 days. Then we're right back to people collapsing. Or worse. So let me recap my current situation. 1. My main road is blockaded by my psychopath cousin and 65 armed horsemen. 2. My people are dropping from malnutrition despite eating full meals. 3. Salt costs more than silver jewelry, and I can barely afford any. 4. A murderous wine seller is sending spies to figure out if I'm worth killing. 5. I have 500 silver to my name and 700 mouths to feed. 6. I briefly considered making my own salt, but Bamboo Garden has zero geological conditions for salt production. No sea, no salt mines, no salt lakes, just bamboo and iron ore that I can't mine yet because I'm broke. I told everyone to take it easy, reduced work hours, keep feeding the collapsed workers, and I'd figure out the salt situation. Figure it out, my signature move. Say it confidently, walk away dramatically, then panic internally. The real problem isn't just salt. It's the blockade. As long as Zhao Quan controls that road, I'm operating with one arm tied behind my back. Every supply costs double. Every solution takes triple the effort, and one nutritional oversight nearly killed 8 people. I need to break that blockade, not work around it. Break it. But with what army? My forces consist of farmers with sickles, a sick wife, a violent wife, a judgmental wife, and a cooking pot. When it rains, it pours. And right now I'm standing in a monsoon with a leaking umbrella, wondering which crisis is going to drown me first. At least the fish was delicious. Remember that charming wine lady with the hook nose? The one I bought 2,000 pounds of cheap booze from? Yeah, she sold me out. Here's what happened behind my back. Little Peach, that's her name, which is ironic because there's nothing sweet about this woman, sent her creepy little henchman to spy on me. The guy came back with the full report. New lord, no family backing, making incredible wine, being blockaded by Zhao Quan on the main road, buying supplies through the back trails. And what did this lovely businesswoman do with this information? Did she think, great, a reliable customer I should protect? No, she thought, I bet Zhao Quan would pay me for this intel. Her ratty little spy literally ran to the military horse ranch in the middle of the night to sell me out. Zhao Quan was sitting there drunk and miserable, furious that 5 days of blockade hadn't starved me yet. His daily costs were bleeding him dry. 65 men at 1 silver each per day, plus meat, booze, and horse feed for all of them. The man was spending a fortune to accomplish nothing. Then the spy knocked on his door and said, "Hey, I know how he's getting supplies. There's a back trail." Zhao Quan sobered up faster than a cat in a bathtub. Next morning, I was setting up my roadside restaurant on the back trail, happy as a clam, walk ready, horses loaded with wine coming down the mountain. Business as usual. Beautiful day, birds singing. Life is good. Then the ground started shaking. 70 horsemen came thundering around the bend. Zhao Quan had emptied his entire remaining reserve. Every assassin, every private soldier, every armed servant he had left, and brought them all to my little trail. "There he is," Zhao Quan screamed, pointing at me with his riding whip like a cartoon villain who finally found the hero's secret base. Smash his wine. Flip his walk. Make him despair. I had exactly 1 second to make a decision. Retreat. Saya heard me and immediately turned the wine convoy around. Those horses started hauling back up the trail with our precious cargo. Thank God for Saya's reflexes. But I wasn't fast enough. I was trying to grab my iron wok, my only cooking equipment, the single most valuable piece of kitchen technology in this entire territory, when the lead rider reached me. He flipped my wok off the fire like a frisbee. Then he stood over me, grinning. "Sorry, Lord Zhao Shua. Our master wants you to despair. How hard is it to just be his dog? People would kill for the honor of being his dog." Saya got the wine out safely, but I was standing there watching my precious wok roll in the dirt while 70 horsemen surrounded me. Then Zhao Quan himself trotted up on his horse, looking down at me like a king addressing a bug. "I've changed my mind, Zhao Shua. Forget the wine split. I want your brewing technique. Hand it over. Then get on your knees, crawl to me, call me master, and I'll let you live. After all, you're technically family, even if you're just the family dog. I shouldn't break a dog's food bowl, the family dog." He called me a dog, in front of my people, in front of Saya, while standing over my flipped wok. Let me count my problems right now. Main road, blocked. Back trail, discovered and now blocked. Salt crisis, unresolved. People collapsing from malnutrition. Wine supplier is a backstabbing murderer. My only cooking equipment is lying in the dirt. And my cousin is asking me to literally crawl to him and surrender, my only competitive advantage. Every road out of Bamboo Garden is now closed. Every supply line severed. My two-front business strategy just became a zero-front business strategy. This is the lowest point. Rock bottom. The kind of moment in a story where the hero is supposed to have a dramatic breakdown and stare at the rain. But you know what? I noticed something Zhao Quan didn't. He brought 70 men here, which means the main road blockade is probably down to 65 minus whoever he pulled for this ambush. And he had to bring men from his home base too, meaning the horse ranch is practically unguarded. This idiot spread his forces across 3 locations trying to box me in. That's not strategy. That's overextension. I'm not a dog. I'm not crawling. And I'm definitely not giving up my brewing secrets. But right now, with 70 cavalry staring me down, I need to be smart, not brave. The stick to the forehead move worked once. It won't work against 70 mounted soldiers. Think, Zhao Shua. Think. That I really want my walk back though. 70 horsemen surrounding one skinny guy with a cooking pot. Not great odds. But you know what I do have. A mouth that works faster than their swords. Zhao Quan wanted me to call him Master, so I hit him with the family logic bomb. You want me to call you Master? Do you know who my grandfather is? He's your grandfather too, genius. You're asking me to call you Grandpa. That means you're putting yourself above our actual grandpa. That's not just disrespectful. That's treason against the family patriarch. One of his dumber soldiers actually laughed. Out loud. Couldn't help himself. Zhao Quan's face turned the color of a tomato that's been personally insulted. And you call me a dog, I continued, really twisting the knife. But dogs are loyal to family. You're trying to rob your own cousin. That makes you worse than a dog. Dogs would never be this disgraceful. Zhao Quan was sputtering like a broken engine. He couldn't form a comeback. The man brought 70 armed men and was getting destroyed by words. But then he snapped. Grab him. Slap him. Beat him. 30 riders closed in around me. This was about to get very physical and very painful. Up on the mountain, I could see Saya getting ready to charge down with every villager she could grab. That cannot happen. Those are farmers versus trained cavalry. It would be a massacre. Time to change tactics. Mouth got me into this. Mouth gets me out. I looked at the lead thug approaching me and said, You really think Zhao Quan would risk getting his entire clan executed just to protect a hired goon like you? Touch a Zhao family member, and it's death for 3 generations. You're 3 generations. Think he'll take that bullet for you? The thug stopped walking. His brain was visibly processing this information. The answer was obviously a no. Zhao Quan would absolutely throw every single one of these men under the bus to save himself. Then I played my masterpiece. Fine, Zhao Quan. You win. I'll give you the brewing technique. His whole body language changed instantly. Went from raging bull to happy puppy in half a second. Really? Should have said so earlier. The technique is written on paper, and you need special equipment. Give me 2 days to prepare everything, and I'll deliver it to your horse ranch personally. I said this with the most sincere, defeated face I could possibly fake. Academy Award performance. My eyes were practically watering with fake surrender. Zhao Quan studied my face for a long moment. Then he bought it. 2 days. Don't make me come back. He turned his horse around and left. But he stationed all 70 men on the trail to make sure I couldn't sell wine. So now both exits are blocked, main road and back trail. 135 men total guarding 2 roads, just to contain one broke guy with a walk. Oh, and that little spy who betrayed me to Zhao Quan. The ratty henchman from the wine lady? He ran after Zhao Quan asking for his promised cut. Sir, you said we'd get 10%. Zhao Quan whipped him across the face with his riding crop and screamed, Get lost. You and that trashy wine woman think you deserve a share. The spy collapsed bleeding in the dirt. Betrayed the betrayer who betrayed me. Poetic justice. I'd feel bad except this guy literally sold my location to my enemy for profit, so he can eat dirt. I walked back up the mountain where Saya and a crowd of worried villagers were waiting. Saya nearly tackled me with relief. Husband, you're alive. It's okay. Give him the technique. Your safety matters more. The old village elder nodded sadly. Lord, you're safe. That's what counts. But I could see the fear in his eyes. No brewing technique means no wine. No wine means no money. No money means everyone starves. I looked at all of them and grinned. You guys actually believed I was giving him my secrets? Silence. That was an empty city strategy. A bluff. A fake surrender to buy time. You think I'd hand over everything I've built to that horse-faced moron? He can dream. Saya's jaw dropped. The old man's eyes went wide. The villagers started murmuring. But husband, both roads are blocked now. How do we? I said it was a bluff. I didn't say I don't have a plan. I picked up my dented wok from the ground, dusted it off, and tucked it under my arm like a soldier carrying his weapon home from battle. 2 days. That's what I promised Zhao Quan. 2 days before he expects me to hand-deliver my entire livelihood to his doorstep. Which means I have exactly 48 hours to figure out how to destroy a man with a private army, break 2 blockades, solve a salt crisis, and feed 700 people. No pressure. But between you and me, I already have an idea. And it involves bamboo. A lot of bamboo. Both roads blocked. No wine sales. Dwindling cash. 700 people slowly getting salt deficiency. My wife's staring at me like, okay, genius. Now what? Time to stop playing defense and start building an army. But first, lunch. Because a man cannot overthrow his enemies on an empty stomach. I told everyone we were slaughtering the cow Saya bought a few days ago. The entire village lit up like it was Christmas morning. These people went from, we're all going to die, to, we're eating beef, in about 3 seconds. Morale management is honestly just feeding people at the right time. Miao Shuadwa cornered me with the financial report, which was basically a horror movie. We're almost broke. We need salt desperately. Even at 50 silver a pound, we have to buy some. I looked at her and said, 50 silver? For garbage salt? No. I'm getting you fine salt. Her eyes went so wide I thought they'd fall out. Fine salt? That's 100 silver per pound minimum, and you literally can't even buy it. Only the richest nobles in the empire eat fine salt. There's not enough supply for even them. Yi Qingwen backed her up. The black market price is several times higher than that. This isn't something money can solve, husband. I just smiled. You'll be eating fine salt soon. Trust your husband. They exchanged the look. He's either brilliant or delusional, and we genuinely can't tell which. Look, I get that look a lot. Then I told Saya to cook rice, sent both wives inside, and got to work on the real project. Bamboo armor. I gathered 50 women and organized them into an assembly line. 10 women per station, 5 stations, each handling one step of the process. The bamboo strips my villagers had been cutting and smoothing for days were finally ready. Polished, flexible, strong. I personally handled the critical weaving patterns that give the armor its defensive properties. 2 hours later, the first complete set of bamboo armor rolled off the production line. 18 pounds of raw bamboo. Final weight, just over 10 pounds. A lightweight upper body vest with incredible flexibility. I tested it by whacking it with a stick. The impact barely registered. This thing could block sword slashes, deflect spear thrusts, absorb arrow impacts, and shrug off blunt hits. For a world where most soldiers fight in cloth shirts, this is basically Iron Man technology. The women kept working while I went back to the kitchen. Because I'm a military industrialist and a chef. Dual-class character. Stir-fried beef, spicy potato shreds, scrambled EGGS, braised fish. Miao Shuadwa and Yi Qingwen were drooling on the table by the time I brought the dishes out. Saya didn't wait for permission. She grabbed a bowl, buried it in beef, and started inhaling food like a human vacuum cleaner. Your table manners, I said. I am who I am. She replied with her mouth completely full. During lunch, Miao Shuadwa asked the big question. So what's your actual plan? I laid it all out. Every step, every detail. Miao Shuadwa, the former marquis's daughter who has seen political schemes, military coups, and palace intrigue her entire life, froze mid-chopstick. Her mouth actually fell open. That's insane. Yi Qingwen clapped her hands. Husband is so smart. This beef is so good. I'm so happy. That woman has the ability to celebrate military strategy and delicious food in the same breath. I love her. By 6 p.m., we had 50 complete sets of bamboo armor. I called over 50 of my strongest young men and suited them up. The transformation was instant. 50 farmers who were eating grass roots a week ago were now standing in formation wearing actual armor, looking like a real military unit. They weren't soldiers. They couldn't fight worth a damn, but they looked terrifying. The bamboo weave caught the evening light, like scales on a dragon. I grabbed a stick and smacked one guy's chest plate as hard as I could. Nothing. He barely flinched. The armor absorbed the hit like it was a gentle pat. I now have 50 armored men, a plan that made my genius wife's brain short-circuit, and 48 hours before Zhao Quan expects me to surrender. Oh, and somewhere outside those gates, the village women were gossiping about me while weaving armor. The Lord is such a good man. Marrying him must be amazing. Xiaowan, are you crushing on the Lord? Wake up. Girl, what? I'm 18 and I'm cute. A girl can dream. Fan club, growing. Army, forming. Plan, in motion. Zhao Quan thinks he gave me a 2-day deadline to surrender. What he actually gave me was a 2-day head start to prepare his destruction. Tick-tock, cousin. Tick-tock. Sleep is for people who aren't building a medieval military-industrial complex in 48 hours. First things first, I tested the bamboo armor with everything I could think of. Sharpened bamboo spears, threw them from distance, stabbed from up close. The armor held. Every single time. The layered weave just absorbed the impact like a trampoline made of spite. I was grinning so hard my face hurt. My 50 armored guys were standing there feeling like absolute legends. The armor was light, it looked cool, and the village girls were giving them looks. Nothing motivates a young man faster than protective equipment and female attention. Military recruitment solved. All right, boys, formation training. Now, I busted out every drill I remembered from college military training back in my old life. Stand at attention, eyes forward, turn left, turn right. Basic stuff, but for guys who've never done anything more organized than lining up for rice, it was a revelation. Within an hour, they were moving as a unit instead of a mob. While they drilled, I sent 50 other guys to select specific bamboo poles, 3 meters long, proper thickness, good flex. They came back with 100 poles. Perfect raw material. Now we make spears. I pulled everyone into the courtyard, and we got to work. Smoothing the shafts, sharpening the tips, balancing the weight. In under an hour, 100 bamboo spears. Light, sharp, and deadly enough to ruin somebody's afternoon. Saya was dying to join the training. Can I play too? And oh, individual warriors are great for bar fights. For what I'm planning, I need discipline. And Saya's relationship with following orders is, let's call it complicated. Plus, I genuinely can't risk her getting hurt because she decided to go solo hero mode in the middle of a formation. She pouted. A warrior woman capable of killing 12 soldiers, pouting. This marriage is wild. Phase 3, ranged weapons. This is where it gets spicy. This world's biotechnology is pathetic. Short range, terrible accuracy, basically useless against the northern barbarians who can shoot while galloping at full speed. But a crossbow? With a proper trigger mechanism? That's a game changer. I drew up blueprints for 15 hand crossbows. Compact, one-person operated, roughly the size of a rifle. I handed the designs to old Li Qing, the village's best carpenter, and watched his eyes go huge. Can you build 15 by dawn? He swallowed hard. It'll be tight. I'll need every carpenter and apprentice in the village working through the night. Do it. Everyone who works tonight gets tomorrow off. Full meals. 1 silver bonus each. He bolted out the door to gather his crew. What followed was the most intense all-nighter of my 2 lives combined. 3 master carpenters and 7 apprentices sawing and shaping crossbow arms in the courtyard while I personally assembled the trigger mechanisms with 10 young guys. The trigger is the key. It's what gives the crossbow its range and accuracy advantage over regular bows. I kept the design simple, maximum effectiveness, minimum complexity. We're not building sniper rifles here. We just need enough firepower to make Zhao Quan reconsider his life choices. By 4 in the morning, the first crossbow was done. I loaded a sharpened bamboo bolt into the groove, aimed at a rice sack 200 meters away, and pulled the trigger. Thwip. Dead center. The bolt punched 20 centimeters into the bag. 200 meters. Accurate. With serious penetration. Using nothing but bamboo, wood, and cow tendon string. No iron. No bronze. Just pure engineering from the future. Old Li Qing nearly collapsed, partly from amazement, partly from exhaustion. His sleep-deprived eyes were basically just dark circles with pupils. This is incredible. I've never seen anything like this in my life. The other carpenters and apprentices were buzzing with excitement despite being awake for 20 straight hours. Imagine spending your whole life making furniture and then suddenly building the most advanced weapon in the known world at 4 a.m. With all the parts fabricated, the remaining 14 crossbows were just assembly work. By dawn, all 15 would be operational. each one capable of firing 3 to 5 bolts simultaneously or single shots with rapid reloading. I turned to Saya, rice porridge for everyone. 2 eggs per person. 1 silver bonus each. These guys pulled an all-nighter to build me a weapons arsenal. They deserve a hot breakfast and cold hard cash. Tomorrow morning's shopping list. 50 armored infantry with bamboo spears. 15 crossbow operators with 200-meter range. 1 very angry lord with a plan. Zhao Quan's deadline is ticking. He thinks I'm spending these 2 days preparing to surrender my brewing secrets. I'm spending them building an army. 48 hours, he said. Well, buddy, dawn is coming, and so am I. I slept for maybe 2 hours. 2. My body hit that dirt bed like a sack of bricks, and my brain just shut off. Saya made eggs and porridge for the carpenters, and I couldn't even smell it. That's how exhausted I was. First time in this world that food couldn't wake me up. Historic moment. Then Saya's beautiful, gentle voice drifted into my room. Husband, everyone's here. Wake up now, like a foghorn attached to a woman. I shot upright so fast I almost broke my own spine. Outside, my entire fighting force was assembled. 50 armored guys looking sharp, plus a bunch of hunters who'd signed up for crossbow duty. Time to turn these farmers into something that would make Zhao Quan soil his fancy silk pants. Armor on. 2 spears each. 1 in hand, 1 on your back. We drill. I arranged them into what I call the mountain formation. 5 rows of 10, standing shoulder to shoulder. Then I gave the command. Spears out. 53-meter bamboo spears thrust forward simultaneously. 5 rows deep. A wall of sharpened death pointing in one direction. The visual was absolutely terrifying. 1 spear? Breakable. 1 row? Maybe overwhelmed. 5 rows of interlocking spear points? That's a blender shaped like a rectangle. Anything that charges into this, horse, human, tank, becomes a kebab. One of my guys was so pumped he started yelling. I feel so manly right now. Another one noticed the village girls watching. Bro, that girl who ignored me last week just waved at me. Bamboo armor. Tactical advantage. Bamboo armor on a single guy standing in formation. Dating advantage. Saya was watching from the sideline, practically levitating with excitement. Husband, I'm impressed. Then I switched to the hedgehog circle. All 50 men facing outward in a ring. Spears pointing in every direction like a giant angry porcupine. The 15 crossbow guys stepped inside the circle. Protected shooters surrounded by a wall of spear-wielding armored infantry. Try charging that, Zhao Quan. I dare you. We drilled for 2 full days. Morning to night. Formations, transitions, spear thrusts, crossbow positioning. By the end of day 2, these farmers moved like they'd been doing this their whole lives. Meanwhile, at Zhao Quan's horse ranch, my 2-day deadline expired. Noon came and went. No Zhao Shuo. No brewing equipment. No technique. No surrender. Zhao Quan's brain went through the 5 stages of grief in about 30 seconds and landed on rage. That dog played me. Saddle my horse. I'm going to drag him out of Bamboo Garden, beat him half to death, and take his land. Oh yeah, turns out in this empire, stronger lords can literally seize weaker lords' territories. Just file some paperwork with the royal family, and it's legal. Zhao Quan wasn't just coming to fight. He was coming to take everything. He rode to the main road blockade, where his 65 guys were napping in the shade like overpaid security guards at a parking lot. Everybody up. We're taking Bamboo Garden. Now, 65 horsemen mounted up. Swords drawn. Lances ready. Professional cavalry formation. They started marching toward my village with the confidence of men who've never lost a fight against farmers. My scout, a kid I'd posted at the village entrance specifically for this moment, came sprinting back. Lord, they're coming. All of them. I looked at my 65 men. 50 armored spearmen. 15 crossbow operators. All of them farmers who were eating grassroots 2 weeks ago. None of them had ever been in a real fight. Against 65 trained horsemen with real weapons and real killing experience. I smashed a bowl on the ground. Dramatic? Yes. Effective? Also yes. Listen up. Anyone who wants to leave, step forward now. No judgment. This is your last chance. Nobody moved. Not one person. Good. Because here are the rules. No retreat. Anyone who runs during battle gets executed by me. Anyone who dies gets 500 silver for their family. Light wounds, 100 silver. Serious wounds, 300 silver plus ongoing support. I basically created a medieval life insurance policy backed by liquor money. Morbid? Sure. But these men needed to know that their sacrifice wouldn't be meaningless, that their families would eat even if they didn't come home. 65 voices roared back at me in unison. Fight to the death. No retreat. Fight to the death. Zhao Quan is riding toward my village right now with 65 cavalry soldiers, expecting to find a cowering wine merchant and some starving peasants. What he's about to find is 50 armored spearmen in battle formation, 15 crossbow operators with 200-meter range, and a lord who hasn't slept in 2 days and has nothing left to lose. Come get some, cousin. The lightning-struck idiot is done running. This is it. The moment where a guy who died playing video games leads his first actual military engagement. No respawn button. No save file. Just bamboo and prayer. We marched out to meet them beyond the village entrance. 65 of us, 50 spearmen in bamboo armor, 15 crossbow guys, walking towards 65 actual cavalry soldiers on warhorses. My guys were sweating so bad you could have filled a swimming pool. One dude next to me was shaking like a washing machine on spin cycle. Don't be scared, I said, sounding approximately 9,000% calmer than I actually felt. Stick to the plan. Across the field, Zhao Quan was having the time of his life. His boy Gulao Lu, the tattooed gang leader, spotted us and practically started laughing. Boss, look at those clowns with their wooden sticks. Zhao Quan was sitting on his horse in the back, naturally, because cowards always direct traffic from the rear. He gave the kill order without hesitation. Wipe them all out. Every single one. Drag Zhao Shua to me with a broken leg. Gulao Lu raised his sword. His 15 tattooed murder boys lined up beside him, and 50 private soldiers formed up behind them. 65 horsemen in attack formation. Then they charged. The sound of 65 horses galloping at you is something you can feel in your bones. The ground shakes. The air vibrates. Every survival instinct screams run. My guys were terrified. 3 of them actually yelped when the cavalry started sprinting toward us. Mountain formation. Now, my 50 men snapped into 5 rows of 10. 2 days of drilling kicked in like muscle memory. Sloppy farmers became a wall of organized steel, well, organized bamboo, in about 3 seconds. The tattooed thugs were 20 meters out. I could see their faces. They saw our formation but didn't care. To them, we were villagers holding oversized chopsticks. Gulao Lu's buddy Black Dog squinted at us mid-charge. Something's weird about these guys. Gulao Lu didn't slow down. Weird or not, they can't stop a cavalry charge with sticks. 10 meters. I waited. Timing is everything. Too early and they'll adjust. Too late and we're trampled. 5 meters. Spears out. 53-meter bamboo spears thrust forward simultaneously from 5 rows. A forest of razor-sharp points materialized in front of the charging horses like a wall of death appearing out of thin air. The first 15 riders, Gulao Lu's elite tattooed killers, hit the spear wall at full gallop. The sound was horrible, and beautiful, and horrible. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Men impaled. Horses skewered mid-stride. Blood everywhere. The unstoppable murder squad that had terrorized this region became human pincushions in approximately 1.5 seconds. Multiple spears per target, from multiple rows deep. There was literally nowhere to go. Physics plus geometry plus sharp bamboo equals absolute carnage. The 10-plus riders behind them couldn't stop in time. They slammed into the pile of their own fallen comrades, though the bodies actually absorbed some impact, so their injuries were less severe. Still not a fun time for them. Forward. Thrust. March. My boys had just watched their spears destroy the most feared fighters in the county. The transformation was instant. The sweating stopped. The shaking stopped. Their eyes went from terrified to predator. They'd tasted victory blood and liked it. We stepped forward as one unit. Spears retracted. Spears thrust. More riders collected. Zhao Quan's face went from smug to confused to horrified in about 4 seconds. His elite 15? Shredded. His follow-up cavalry? Getting harvested like wheat. His unbeatable army was being dismantled by farmers in wicker vests. Retreat. Pull back. Hit their sides. Go around. You idiots. The surviving cavalry commander finally had a brain cell fire. Split into groups. 10 men pinned the front. The rest hit their flanks and rear. Roughly 40 remaining horsemen scattered into 3 groups, circling toward our sides and back. This is the part where a normal spear formation would collapse. Front-facing walls don't protect your butt, but I trained for this. That's what the hedgehog circle is for. That's what the crossbow team is for. Behind me at the village gate, my 3 wives were watching everything unfold. Yi Qingwen screamed, "Husband!" Pale as a ghost, terrified. Miao Shuadwa said nothing, but her hands were clenched so tight her knuckles were white. And her eyes? Pure confidence. She believed in me. Saya was practically vibrating, holding Qingwen back, grinning like a maniac. "Shut up. He's winning. The flanking attack is incoming." My front just obliterated their best fighters. And I still haven't used the crossbows. Zhao Quan wanted to break me. He just broke his own army against a wall of bamboo. Round 1, farmers. Round 2 is about to begin. And I've been saving the best weapon for last. Hedgehog formation. My 50 guys transformed from a forward-facing wall into a 360-degree death circle in about 4 seconds. Every man facing outward, spears pointing in all directions. Crossbow team protected in the center like the creamy filling of a murder donut. The flanking cavalry hit the left side first. One brave idiot charged in and got a bamboo spear through the stomach so fast he was off his horse before his brain registered what happened. 2 more on the right tried to peel away after hearing his scream. Too slow. 2 more spears, 2 more empty saddles. The 9 horsemen who'd circled behind us were feeling real clever about their flanking maneuver until they looked up and saw 15 crossbows aimed directly at their faces. I raised my hand. Dropped it. Fire. 30 bamboo bolts screamed through the air. At less than 100 meters, these guys might as well have been standing still. 8 of 9 dropped instantly. The last one tried to run. Keyword, tried. Second volley caught him before he made it 20 meters. The man looked like a hedgehog himself by the time he hit the ground. Poetic, really. Right flank. Fire. My crossbow boys had found their rhythm now. They were grinning. Reloading was fast, aiming was easy, and the targets were panicking. The 8 remaining riders on the right scattered like roaches when the lights come on, but you can't outrun a 200-meter range when you're already inside the kill zone. First volley took half. Second volley cleaned up the rest. Zhao Quan watched all of this from the back of his fancy horse. His elite tattooed assassins? Shish kebabs on bamboo sticks. His 50 private soldiers? Getting systematically deleted by farmers with homemade crossbows. His unstoppable cavalry force. Stopped. Permanently. The man was shaking so hard he literally forgot how to ride a horse. His hands were trembling, couldn't grip the reins, legs turned to jelly. The mighty horse ranch lord. Brought to you by approximately 10 minutes of actual combat. "This is impossible," he screamed, face white as rice paper. I ordered 2 crossbowmen to step forward and shoot his horse. 2 bolts in the animal's body. It went down hard, and Zhao Quan face-planted into the dirt for the second time in our relationship. Some things become traditions. He was scrambling to crawl away when I marched straight toward him. No weapon needed. Just walked up like I was collecting a package. Then, because the universe has a sense of humor, 50 county police officers came thundering onto the scene. "Stop. No armed gatherings in Shenyang County. Violators will be charged with rebellion." Their leader was a massive, bearded nightmare of a man named Li Sanhu, Black Whirlwind, the county's most feared law enforcement officer. Built like a refrigerator with anger issues. He rode between me and Zhao Quan with the authority of a man who's never been questioned in his life. Zhao Quan immediately started crying from the ground. "Li Sanhu. Finally. My uncle sent you. Arrest him." "Ah, yes." Zhao Quan's uncle is the county magistrate. Of course the cops are on his side. Of course. Li Sanhu glared at me with eyes that could curdle milk. "Stand down." I looked at this giant bearded cop. I looked at Zhao Quan sniveling in the dirt. I thought about the political consequences for approximately half a second. Then I walked past Li Sanhu like he was a traffic cone, grabbed Zhao Quan by the ankle, and spun him 360 degrees through the air like a human helicopter blade. "Mommy," he managed before passing out cold. Li Sanhu's face was priceless. This man terrifies literal tigers, and some skinny wine merchant just completely ignored him and ragdolled a nobleman right in front of his entire squad. He scooped up unconscious Zhao Quan, threw him over his horse like a sack of potatoes, and glared at me one final time before riding off with his 50 officers. My crossbow team wanted to shoot. I stopped them instantly. Zhao Quan and his thugs are civilians. We killed them in self-defense, totally legal. But if we shoot government officers, that's rebellion. That's a death sentence for everyone here. The boys cooled down immediately. Good soldiers know when not to pull the trigger. The main road was clear. For the first time in almost a week, nobody was blocking our way. Saya, road's open. Take the transport team to town. Buy salt. 25 silver per pound. The good price. Miao Shuadwa handed Saya our last 500 silver without being asked. We were operating as a unit now. No arguments, no negotiations. Just teamwork. Saya paused. Should I also deliver some wine to town? Buy more grain. Smart girl. The blockade is broken. Time to flood the market. Today's battle stats. 65 enemy cavalry destroyed by 65 armored farmers. 0 friendly casualties. 1 cousin helicopter spun into unconsciousness. 1 terrifying cop completely disrespected. Problems remaining. Zhao Quan's uncle is the county magistrate, which means legal trouble is probably incoming. The wine lady who betrayed me is still out there. And I just humiliated a government official in front of his own men. But right now, standing in this field, surrounded by my armored village warriors, watching Saya ride toward town on an open road, hearing my people cheer behind me, this feels like winning. The lightning-struck idiot just won his first battle, and he didn't even need a sword. Just bamboo, brains, and absolutely zero respect for authority. Victory tastes like horse meat. Lots of horse meat. 21 enemy horses died in today's battle. Sad for the horses. Great for my village's protein intake. I had 20 giant stone cooking pots dragged into the village square, filled them with thousands of pounds of horse meat, bones, and organs, and lit fires under all of them. 800 villagers. Yeah, the population keeps growing because apparently word travels fast when a lord feeds people and wins battles. We're squatting around those pots like it was the world's most chaotic barbecue. The smell was incredible. People were practically levitating with excitement. The Lord is a war god. He's basically a divine general sent from heaven. He's buying us salt too. Following this man is the best decision I ever made. They were 1 step away from building me a temple. I stood on a raised area in the middle of the crowd and soaked it in. 800 people, all looking at me with genuine devotion. 2 weeks ago, these same people glared at me like I was the tax collector from hell. Now they'd follow me into an actual volcano. The power of full stomachs, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, eat until you explode. 3 to 5 pounds of meat per person. Tomorrow we slaughter the 11 injured horses and do this again. The cheering nearly knocked me over. Oh, and I also captured 45 perfectly healthy military horses as war spoils. 45. Zhao Quan accidentally donated an entire cavalry stable to the guy he was trying to destroy. Thank you, cousin. Very generous. Then Saya came back from town, and her face told me everything before she opened her mouth. We couldn't buy salt. Every merchant in town refused to sell to us. The county magistrate, Zhao Quan's dear uncle, Huang Wenhua, had issued orders. No one sells salt to Zhao Shua or anyone from Bamboo Garden. Total embargo. Our friend Feng Sihai, the tea merchant who buys my wine, secretly sold Saya 10 pounds at double the normal price. 50 silver per pound instead of 25. 500 silver for 10 pounds of crude salt. My entire remaining cash reserve, gone on a tiny bag of salt. I didn't flinch. 50 per pound? Fine. We work with what we've got. I split the salt. 5 pounds into the 20 cooking pots for tonight's feast. 5 pounds reserved for the village's daily needs. It's not enough, not even close, but it'll keep people on their feet for now. The real problem isn't the price. It's the system. The county magistrate's family controls all salt distribution in the region. Every merchant, every vendor, every restaurant gets their salt from the Huang family. And now that family has a personal vendetta against me because I helicopter spun their nephew into unconsciousness in front of 50 cops. Meanwhile, at the fancy Huang family mansion in the county seat, Zhao Quan was lying on a bed with a broken leg, getting black medicine paste slathered on his wounds, screaming about revenge. Uncle, I want him dead. Uncle Huang. County Magistrate Huang Wenhua, a man who strokes his little mustache like every corrupt official in every story ever, was already 3 steps ahead. His plan was multi-layered evil. Phase 1, salt embargo. Already active. Cut off my entire salt supply. Phase 2. Travel ban. Forbid me and my people from leaving our territory. Trap us. Phase 3. Fabricate criminal charges. Find some excuse, any excuse, to arrest me, strip my noble status, throw me in prison, and then quietly murder me in a cell. Once he's a commoner, the magistrate purred, stroking that mustache. I have 10,000 ways to make him die in prison. So let me update the threat board, Zhao. Quan, broken leg, burning with revenge, but temporarily out of commission. County magistrate, actively plotting my legal destruction, controls all salt in the region, has 50 armed cops on payroll. Salt crisis, temporarily patched with 10 overpriced pounds, but unsustainable. Wine lady who betrayed me, still lurking somewhere, probably planning more treachery. On MY side, 800 loyal villagers, 45 captured warhorses, a growing bamboo armor industry, friendships with an earl and a tea merchant, and the ability to cook food so good it makes people switch political allegiances. The battlefield victory was the easy part. The real war, against corrupt government officials with unlimited institutional power, is just beginning. But here's what the magistrate doesn't know. I have an earl's personal token in my pocket, 500 sets of bamboo armor in production, and a brain full of ideas from a civilization 2,000 years more advanced than his. You want to play dirty politics, Uncle Huang? Fine. But I didn't survive lightning, famine, blockades, and cavalry charges just to get taken out by a guy who fondles his own mustache. Bring it on. 3 days of eerie silence. No attacks, no threats, no angry cousins on horseback. Just quiet. And that scared me more than anything. When your enemy goes silent after you helicopter spun him into a coma, it means he's planning. So I decided to make my move first. Deliver the bamboo armor to Earl Li Dingxian's residence in Shanyang County before the magistrate could figure out how to legally murder me. The plan, travel at night. Disguise everything. The premium wine went into baskets buried under potatoes, so it looked like a boring produce delivery. The 500 sets of bamboo armor got packed into wooden crates loaded onto my captured warhorses. My guys dressed up as random traveling merchants. We left at 9 p.m., creeping through the back mountain trails in pitch darkness. And when I say creeping, I mean literally stumbling through thorny bushes and wild grass that sliced my legs into a road map of tiny bleeding cuts. Every step was a gamble. Can't see the ground, can't see the rocks, can't see the holes that want to eat your ankles. 7 hours of this. 7. Walking 70-something miles through the dark on roads that barely qualify as dirt paths. By 3 a.m. we'd covered 50 miles and my feet were having a serious conversation with my brain about filing for divorce. Then one of my guys whispered, "Lord, look, a checkpoint. Brand new. Built in the last 3 days, exactly since my battle with Zhao Quan." The magistrate had set up military roadblocks specifically to catch me. This wasn't casual law enforcement. This was a trap. Go around it, I ordered. But that adds 20 miles. I said go around. Nobody argued. When your lord speaks in that voice at 3 a.m. in total darkness with blood running down his shins, you don't debate logistics. We rerouted through even worse terrain. Then the nightmare escalated. Lord, someone's following us. Looks like soldiers from that checkpoint. At least 100 of them. I can count the torches. 100 armed soldiers chasing us through the wilderness at 3 a.m. My guys were shaking so hard their teeth were chattering, and not from the cold. I made a decision in about 2 seconds. Kill the lanterns on the horses. Everyone keep moving forward. I'll stay behind. Sun Air, my loyal brewery worker, the guy who pledged his life for me against the tattooed thugs, looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Lord, let me stay. No. Go. They disappeared into the darkness. I ducked into the tall grass with my horse, crouching low, listening to 100 soldiers getting closer. 2 military officers were arguing as they approached. You think those were Zhao Shua's people? Dunno. But if we catch them, we stab first and ask questions never. There might be wolves in that grass, though. Wolves. They're scared of wolves. I cupped my hands around my mouth and let out the most blood-curdling wolf howl I could manage. A whoa. The reaction was instantaneous. Wolves. There are wolves over there. Officer number 1, a guy named Dong Biao, immediately volunteered his colleague to investigate. Hey, old he, why don't you go check that out? I'll cover you from back here. Old he glared at him. My stomach hurts. Actually, mine too. Must have been dinner. Dong Biao then produced what I can only describe as the most strategically timed fart in military history, as if to prove his stomach was genuinely upset. These are the elite soldiers guarding the county magistrate's checkpoints, everyone. One wolf howl, and they're arguing about who has worse diarrhea. You know what? Those probably weren't Zhao Shua's people anyway. He's not stupid enough to travel at night. Agreed. Let's go back to bed. 100 soldiers turned around and marched home because one skinny guy in a bush went awoo. I waited until their torches disappeared, stood up, brushed off the dirt, and muttered to myself, "You people really want me dead." But I refused to cooperate, jumped on my horse and galloped after my convoy. Caught up 30 minutes later. A few guys had twisted ankles. One horse got stuck in a mud pit and almost became a permanent landscape feature. But we made it to the outskirts of Shanyang County just before dawn. The city gates were shut, nighttime curfew. Guards with torches patrolling the walls. We couldn't knock because that would announce our arrival to every spy the magistrate had planted. We wait. Rest here. Enter at dawn when the gates open with the normal crowd. My guys collapsed on the ground, some of them sneezing from the cold night air. Sun Air nodded and immediately fell asleep sitting up. 70-plus miles of night hiking through thorny wilderness, 100-soldier pursuit neutralized by a single wolf impression, and a strategic fart that saved us all. Nobody writes war stories about this kind of heroism. But they should. Dawn is coming. The city gates will open. And inside those walls, an earl is waiting for 500 sets of armor that could change the balance of power in this entire region. The magistrate thinks he's got me cornered. He set up checkpoints, banned my salt, and is probably drafting fake criminal charges right now. But I'm already at his front door. And he doesn't know it yet. Dawn finally came, and I'd never been so happy to see a sunrise in either of my lives. My legs felt like they'd been through a cheese grater, my feet had filed a formal complaint with my nervous system, and half my guys were sneezing like they'd developed synchronized cold symptoms. The city gates opened, and we rolled in with the morning crowd, trying to look like the most boring potato merchants in existence. A gate inspector spotted our convoy, and his eyes lit up like a slot machine, probably hoping to shake us down. His buddy called out from the corner, "Hey, check if they're carrying wine." Boss said to stop anyone with booze. Apparently some kid named Zhao is causing trouble. Wonderful. I'm officially on a wanted poster for alcohol trafficking. My criminal career is so glamorous. The inspector, a guy named Wang Meng, walked up and gave me the classic corrupt official stare. "Those baskets don't have wine in them, do they?" I pulled him aside and slipped 5 silver into his hand. He weighed the little bag, smiled like Christmas came early, and announced to everyone within earshot, "Clearly, just potatoes. Let them through." 5 silver to become invisible. Cheapest magic trick in history. Inside the city, I bought everyone breakfast, 100 flour cakes and 10 pounds of boiled pig parts for 1 silver. My guys tore into it like they hadn't eaten in days. Personally, the cake was hard enough to use as a weapon, and the meat was just boiled slop with barely any salt. But Sun Air and the boys were eating like it was a Michelin star restaurant. Perspective is a powerful seasoning. We found Li Dingxian's residence on the north side of town. The Li Manor was impressive. Massive front gate, 2 giant stone lions, side doors, horse-tying posts. This wasn't a house. This was a statement. I flashed the Li family token to the doorman, and the old guy nearly tripped over himself running inside. 30 seconds later, a young man in expensive silk came striding out with a huge grin. "You must be the one. I'm Li Heng, the Earl's nephew. I manage the residence. Uncle told me to expect you. Said you're a VIP, and I should treat you like royalty." We unloaded the goods in the second courtyard. 40 jars of premium wine, 25 pounds each, 1,000 pounds total. Li Heng took 1 sniff, 1 sip, and his face went through the exact same journey his uncle's did. Surprise, joy, religious ecstasy. "Here, 10,000 silver." He pulled out 10 bank notes worth 1,000 each. 10,000 silver. For wine that cost me maybe a few hundred in raw materials. Then I dropped the real request. "Can I trade some of this for salt?" Li Heng's eyes widened. "Brother, you asked the right person. Turns out the Li family has their own salt supply chain, completely separate from the magistrate's monopoly. The Earl's army needs massive quantities of salt for soldiers, families, and horses, so he arranged independent supply routes years ago. The Huang family monopoly doesn't touch them. But because nothing in my life comes without a but. They were almost out of the good stuff. All they had left was the absolute bottom-tier crude salt they normally feed to horses. Li Hing looked almost embarrassed, telling me, "It's really bad. Yellow. Some chunks are black. Huge lumps. Smells terrible. Even worse than the cheapest market salt. Are you sure you want to see it? Show me." Two servants hauled out a 100-pound sack. Sun Air opened it and immediately recoiled. A wave of bitter, stinky air hit us like a punch to the nose. The salt looked like dirty gravel. Some pieces were the size of grapes. Others had fused into solid blocks that looked more like rocks than food seasoning. Sun Air wrinkled his face. "Lord, this stuff is yellow, and some of it's black." Everyone was staring at me like, "Please don't tell us we traveled 70 miles through the dark to buy horse food." But here's what nobody in this room knows. I have chemistry knowledge from the future. Specifically, I know how to purify crude salt. Dissolve it, filter the sediment, evaporate the water, and what you get is clean, white, fine-grained salt. The kind that costs 100 silver per pound and only nobles can afford. This disgusting, horse-grade, yellow-black garbage salt? In my hands, it becomes luxury product. I looked at that stinking sack of rocks and saw what everyone else couldn't. Pure, beautiful, white gold waiting to be refined. "I'll take all of it." "How much do you have?" Li Hung blinked. Then blinked again. My guys were looking at me like I'd finally cracked. Sun Air was still holding the bag open with 2 fingers, face scrunched up, trying to breathe through his mouth. But I was smiling, because this trip just became 10 times more valuable than I planned. Wine money plus an unlimited supply of crude salt that I can refine into the most expensive commodity in the empire? Zhao Quan's uncle thought cutting off my salt supply would destroy me. Instead, he accidentally pushed me into building my own salt refinery using a source his monopoly can't touch. The magistrate played himself, and he doesn't even know it yet. The salt looked like something you'd dig out of a sewer. Yellow, black, chunky, stinking. Sun Air opened the bag and recoiled like it had personally insulted his mother. But I looked at that disgusting pile of horse-grade mineral garbage and saw pure profit. "I'll take it all." Li Hing thought I was buying it for my horses. "Sure, buddy. Let's go with that." He gave me the friendship price, 10 silver per pound instead of 20. I converted my entire 10,000 silver wine payment into 1,000 pounds of crude salt. Everyone thought I was insane. Sun Air was staring at me like, "We walked 70 miles in the dark for this." But what nobody understands is that I can refine this stuff. Dissolve, filter, evaporate. Basic chemistry that won't exist in this world for centuries. 1,000 pounds of horse salt becomes 600 or 700 pounds of pristine, white fine-grained salt. The kind that costs 100 silver per pound and makes nobles weep with desire. I just bought future luxury goods at horse food prices. The magistrate's salt monopoly can eat my dust. Next up, the bamboo armor. I showed Li Hung the 500 sets, priced at 100 silver each. He took one look, wrinkled his nose. "No copper plates? Never seen anything like this," and offered 5,000 silver up front instead of the full 50,000. Fair enough. He doesn't know what he's looking at yet. Once his uncle actually tests these things, that remaining 45,000 will come knocking. Final haul from the Li residence. 5,000 silver in cash, 1,000 pounds of crude salt, and a solid business relationship with the most powerful military family in the region. Not bad for a morning's work. Li Hung invited me to stay for drinks and dinner. Every bone in my body wanted to say yes. I hadn't slept properly in 2 days and my feet were basically ground beef at this point. But something in my gut was screaming at me to get home. That instinct had saved my life multiple times already. I wasn't about to ignore it. "Thanks, but I've got urgent business." Next time, he sent us off with a cooked lamb and some bread for the road. Good man. On the way back, I made a pit stop at a brewery near the county and dropped 4,000 silver on 2,000 pounds of cheap wine. Then 600 on 20,000 pounds of grain. Then 300 on some small cattle. My 5,000 was evaporating like water on a hot pan, but every silver was going into assets, things that would generate 10 times their value once I got home and started processing. We dodged the military checkpoint again, took the long way, and by 4 in the afternoon, I could finally see Bamboo Gardens back mountain. Finally home. Sun Air practically cried with relief. But as we entered the village, something was wrong. No one in the bamboo forest. No women processing bamboo strips outside the manor. The village streets were empty. The neat stacks of bamboo outside my gate had been scattered and trashed deliberately. My stomach dropped through the floor. Then a door burst open. A woman stumbled out, terrified. "The Lord is back." More doors flew open. People rushed out, women, workers, old men, all looking traumatized. Old carpenter Li Qing walked up to me with a bandaged arm and blood on his clothes. "Lord." This morning, the county magistrate's men came. My blood went cold. They said we were manufacturing armor illegally. Called it treason. They arrested all 3 of your wives. The world stopped. We tried to fight. They brought hundreds of soldiers. An entire archery battalion. We lost. Several people died. Dozens wounded. We couldn't stop them. Miao Xuedwa, Yi Qingwen, Saya. All 3. Taken. While I was 70 miles away buying horse salt and shaking hands with aristocrats. The magistrate, Zhao Quan's uncle, had been waiting for me to leave. The moment I was gone, he struck. Used the bamboo armor as a pretext for rebellion charges. In this empire's law, illegal armor manufacturing typically means metal armor, copper or iron plates. Plain fabric or bamboo armor without metal components falls into a gray area that nobody enforces. Half the merchants in the empire own padded cloth armor, and nobody blinks. But the magistrate didn't care about legal accuracy. He needed a charge. Any charge. And rebellion is the nuclear option. It carries the death penalty. My 3 wives. The woman who served me rice with a smile. The girl who believed in me from day one. The warrior who could kill 12 men but stayed because her parents were hostages. All sitting in a county jail right now because I left them unprotected. I felt something dark and cold settle behind my eyes. Not anger. Something quieter. Something worse. The magistrate wants to play the rebellion card? Fine. But he just made the single biggest mistake of his career. Because the man he's trying to frame for treason is the same man who supplies armor to an ERL with 5,000 elite cavalry. The same man holding a Li family token. The same man who just became the Li family's most valuable business partner. You arrested my wives, Magistrate Huang. You killed my people. You destroyed my property. And you did it all while your target was standing inside the home of the one man in this empire who outranks you in every possible way. I'm coming. And I'm not bringing potatoes this time. While I was rushing home with 1,000 pounds of horse salt and murder in my heart, here's what was happening at the Huang family mansion. My 3 wives, bound, gagged, tied up in the east wing like prisoners of war. Miao Xuedwa and Yi Qingwen had their hands and feet roped together with cloth stuffed in their mouths. Saya was strapped to a chair because apparently they knew regular rope wouldn't hold the woman who killed 12 soldiers. And standing in the doorway, Zhao Quan, on crutches, with a broken leg, grinning like the world's most punchable gargoyle. Well, Zhao Shua's pretty wives are finally mine. Let me collect some interest before I settle accounts with your husband. He was literally lunging toward Miao Xuedwa when his uncle walked in and shut that down with one cold grunt. I don't come in here. You ruin everything. Uncle Huang's logic was pure bureaucratic evil. These women carry massive debts. If you touch them now, those debts transfer to you. Wait until I get execution papers from the royal family. Once they're officially condemned, you can do whatever you want and it costs you nothing. Zhao Quan's eyes lit up like a kid who just learned candy is free on Tuesdays. Uncle, you're a genius. Just be patient. I'll handle Zhao Shua first. Then these women are yours. They were literally planning my murder and my wife's execution over afternoon tea. The magistrate even pivoted to casual business talk about raising salt prices because apparently destroying my life wasn't enough to fill his afternoon schedule. Zhao Quan had one moment of almost intelligence. Won't people revolt if salt gets more expensive? Uncle Huang stroked his disgusting little mustache. Those peasants can't do anything. If we don't squeeze these 2-legged sheep, where does money come from? 2-legged sheep. He called human beings 2-legged sheep. That's literally what he thinks of the people he governs. Then a guard burst in, panicking. SIR. Some young man barged into the courthouse. Says he's filing a lawsuit. Won't say against who exactly, but claims it involves you personally. We tried to throw him out, but he said if we do, we'll regret it. Huang's first reaction. Beat him to death. His second reaction, 3 seconds later, wait. What if he's somebody important? See, in this empire, nobility sometimes travels in disguise. More than one county magistrate has beaten up a random troublemaker, only to discover they just assaulted a duke's son. Those magistrates' entire families got executed. The precedent tends to make you cautious. So Uncle Huang jumped in his sedan chair and rushed to the courthouse. Zhao Quan hobbled after him on crutches, curiosity overriding his broken leg. They arrived to find the courthouse packed with onlookers. The magistrate climbed onto his judge's seat, slammed his gavel, put on his most intimidating official face, and bellowed, "Who dares enter my court? State your name." And there I was, standing in the middle of the hall. No army, no weapons, no backup, just me, Zhao Shuo, grandson of King Zhao Wuji, the warden of the West, lord of Bamboo Garden. And by the way, I'm a Ziachao. By imperial law, Zhao family members don't kneel in court. We get a chair. You do know the rules, don't you, Mr. Huang? The magistrate's face went through about 14 emotions in 2 seconds. He'd just told his nephew I'd never dare show up. I showed up. He had zero preparation for this. Zhao Quan, peeking in from outside, nearly fell off his crutches again. That boy hits the ground more than a bouncy ball. And you know who else was watching? Li Heng, the Earl's nephew. Just happened to be passing the courthouse, spotted the commotion, looked inside, and saw his new business partner standing in the middle of the hall, making the county magistrate sweat through his fancy robes. I don't have an army with me. I don't have weapons or soldiers, or even my angry wife. But I have something better. I have the audacity to walk into my enemy's house, demand a chair, and tell him he doesn't know his own rules. The courtroom is packed. The magistrate is rattled. Li Heng is watching from the crowd. And somewhere in the back rooms of this very building, my 3 wives are tied up waiting for rescue. Let's play court, Magistrate Huang. Your move. But I warn you, I've been practicing this speech for 70 miles of night hiking, and it's a banger. The magistrate saw me walk into his courtroom and thought Christmas came early. Zhao Shuo, I was looking for you, and you came to me. How convenient. By imperial law, manufacturing armor is treason. The crowd outside gasped. Some old man shook his head. This kid is dead. A scholar winced. Zhao Quan, lurking on his crutches, was practically glowing with joy. Li Heng, the Earl's nephew who I'd just sold wine to this morning, was in the crowd sweating bullets. He was mentally calculating how much money it would take to bribe me out of this situation and coming up short. Poor guy was about to step forward and throw himself on a financial grenade for me. But I wasn't done talking. Not even close. Nice try with the big hat, Mr. Huang. But let me educate you on your own laws. The armor statute covers copper-plated and iron-plated equipment. Plain bamboo and fabric armor? Not covered. Never has been. Half the merchants in this empire own cloth padding, and nobody cares. His gavel hand twitched. But since we're talking about illegal armor, I raised my voice to make sure every single person in the building heard me clearly. But how about your 500 privately recruited soldiers in East River Valley, wearing real metal armor? By imperial law, a non-royal official with over 100 armored private troops is guilty of rebellion. 500 or more. That's execution of your entire clan. 3 generations. Gone. The color drained from Huang Wenhua's face so fast I thought he might actually faint. His secret army, the one he'd hidden so carefully, was just announced to a packed courtroom. How? That's lies, he sputtered, gripping his desk like a drowning man. I wasn't finished. Not even halfway. Oh, and the black market salt operation? The one where you officially sell salt at regulated prices, but secretly funnel supply to bandits and mountain outlaws through back channels? That's crime number 2. His knuckles went white. And the best part, selling salt to the northern barbarian tribes? That's not just corruption, Mr. Huang. That's treason. Aiding the enemy. Same penalty as raising a private army. Same penalty as the rebellion charge you're trying to pin on me. My voice was booming off the walls like thunder. Every spectator outside heard every word. The magistrate's deepest, darkest secrets, the ones nobody dared whisper about even in private, were being broadcast to the entire county seat by a 20-year-old wine merchant standing in the middle of his own courtroom. How did I know all this? Simple. Before coming here, I'd promised Feng Sihai, my tea merchant friend, a generous supply of premium wine in exchange for connecting me with an intelligence trading merchant guild. These guilds buy and sell secrets for a living. For the right price, they'll dig up dirt on anyone. And a corrupt county magistrate with enemies inside the royal family? That file was thick. Huang slammed his gavel so hard it nearly broke. Slander. Arrest him. 50 lashes. Throw him in the death cell. For guards stepped forward with clubs. Li Heng, watching from outside, closed his eyes. It's over. Zhao Quan was bouncing on his crutches with excitement. Then I played my final card. Go ahead, Huang. Beat me. Kill me. But know this. I've already sent 50 riders on fast horses toward the capital, each one carrying 100 copies of everything I just said. Printed. Detailed. With evidence. Dead silence. If I don't walk out of here today, within days every official in the imperial court, every noble family, every military commander will know exactly what you've been doing. Your hat won't just come off, Mr. Huang. Your head will. I stepped forward and stared directly into his eyes from 3 feet away. Try me. The longest 5 seconds of my life. His eyes, venomous, calculating, terrified, locked with mine. I could see the math happening behind those snake pupils. Kill me and risk everything? Or fold? He gave the guards a look. They stepped back. Court is closed. Everyone out. Complex case. We need privacy. The guards shoved every spectator out and slammed the doors. Li Heng, Zhao Quan, and the entire crowd were left standing outside, jaws on the floor. Inside, the magistrate led me to a private room. Sat down. The mask of authority was completely gone. Just a scared, corrupt little man in a fancy robe. You win. What do you want? Music to my ears. 3 things. 1. Release my 3 wives immediately. All charges dropped. 2. Public announcement that the armor accusation was a misunderstanding. Public apology. 3. I want Zhao Quan's horse ranch. All assets, all property, transferred to me. Filed with the royal family. Not his salt monopoly. I thought about demanding that, but the Li family already gives me a better salt supply without the risk of this snake poisoning my product. I want something more personal. I want the thing Zhao Quan loves most. His ranch. His horses. His identity as a lord. The magistrate stared at me, mustache twitching, calculating how much of his empire he could sacrifice to keep the rest. I stared back, absolutely still, holding a hand full of cards that could end his career, his freedom, and his bloodline. Checkmate, Mr. Huang. Your move. The snake stared at me. I stared back. We both knew who was holding the knife. You've got quite an appetite, kid, Huang hissed, every word dripping venom. Average appetite, actually. But feel free to say no. When your head rolls off your shoulders next month, don't say, I didn't offer you a lifeline. The silence lasted about 4 seconds. Felt like 4 years. Fine. Take your women. Take the horse ranch. I'll announce it today, not someday. Today. Right now. I want physical control of that ranch before sundown. His jaw clenched so hard I could hear his teeth grinding from across the room. But he nodded. The man who'd spent his career eating people alive just got force-fed his own medicine by a kid who sells potato stir-fry on dirt trails. Half an hour later, we were back in the main courtroom. Doors wide open. The crowd flooded in like a stadium filling up for the championship game. Magistrate Huang stood up behind his bench, looking like a man passing a kidney stone, and delivered the most painful speech of his entire career. The charges against Zhao Shuo are dropped. Insufficient evidence. Complete misunderstanding. His family members are to be released immediately. This office formally apologizes. The crowd lost their minds. People were whispering, gasping, doing double takes. A county magistrate publicly apologizing to a commoner? In this empire? That's like seeing a unicorn ride a dragon while juggling flaming swords. Then the side door opened, and my 3 wives were escorted in. Yi Qingwen saw me first. Her face crumbled like a dam breaking. Husband, I thought I'd never see you again. She threw herself into my arms, sobbing. Miao Xuedhua, my ice queen, my unshakable rock, walked up with tears streaming down her face. No sarcastic comment. No cool detachment. Just, husband. And then she was crying into my chest too. Saya charged at me like a linebacker, wrapped her arms around all 3 of us, and nearly toppled the whole pile. You came alone to save us. I'm officially your biggest fan. There I was, standing in the middle of a government courthouse, bear-hugged by 3 crying women, with a corrupt magistrate grinding his teeth behind me, and an entire county watching. Peak awkwardness. Peak awesome. Then I spotted him. Zhao Quan. On the ground. He'd been watching from the crowd on his crutches, seen the magistrate fold, seen my wives released, and apparently his legs gave out again. He was sitting in the dirt like a toddler who dropped his ice cream, surrounded by laughing townspeople. I walked over to him, slowly, savoring every step. Zhao Quan, long time no see. Missed you, buddy. His face was cycling through red and purple like a broken traffic light. Don't think you've won. Oh, I almost forgot to mention. Your horse ranch? It's mine now. As of today, your uncle just signed it over. Every horse, every building, every coin in the treasury, all mine. The look on his face was worth more than everything in that ranch. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. No sound came out. His brain was buffering. Then he fainted. Just tipped over sideways and went lights out. Right there on the courthouse floor. For the third time in our relationship. At this point, fainting is basically his signature move. Li Heng was watching from the crowd with the biggest grin I'd ever seen. He gave me a subtle nod that said, "Uncle was right about you." I gave him the tiniest nod back and deliberately didn't approach him. The magistrate was watching everyone I interacted with, and I wasn't about to paint a target on my ally's back. 3 hours later, I was standing inside Zhao Quan's, MY, horse ranch mansion. And mansion is the right word this time. This place was 10 times bigger than my bamboo garden shack. Decorated, furnished, staffed with 48 servants who were all bowing to their new lord. Zhao Quan himself, propped up on crutches with his uncle glaring daggers at him, was handing over the paperwork like a man signing his own death certificate. Population records, land maps, warehouse keys, financial ledgers, livestock inventory. Every single thing he'd used to bully me, threaten me, blockade me, and try to destroy me, now belonged to me. I took the keys from his trembling hand and smiled. Thanks, cousin. I'll take good care of the place. You should probably go home and rest that leg. He looked at me with pure, unfiltered hatred. But there was something else in those eyes now. Something new. Fear. Let me do the final scoreboard for this insane chapter of my life. Started the day, broke, exhausted, 70 miles from home, carrying horse salt. Ended the day, 3 wives rescued. All charges dropped. A public apology from the county magistrate. A fully operational horse ranch with 48 servants. And my archenemy unconscious on a courthouse floor. Total cost, 0 silver. One really good bluff. An absolutely massive nerve. The lightning-struck idiot just conquered his first territory through pure intimidation. No army. No weapons. Just information, timing, and the willingness to walk into a snake pit and tell the snake he's the one who should be scared. Now if you'll excuse me, I have a salt refinery to build, a bamboo armor empire to expand, and 3 wives who apparently all want to hug me at the same time. Life is good. First night in my new mansion, and I celebrated the way any self-respecting medieval warlord would, by cooking hot pot for my wives, and then staying up until dawn doing chemistry in the backyard. The horse ranch is insane. 5 times bigger than Bamboo Garden. Rivers running through it. Lush grassland. Horses, cattle, sheep, camels, a whole zoo of profitable animals. 48 servants who now call me boss. A mansion with multiple courtyards, proper rooms, and actual furniture. 2 weeks ago, I was sleeping on a dirt bed eating sorghum that tasted like sandpaper. Now I've got a bronze cooking pot and fresh lamb. I set up security first. My 50 armored spearmen and 15 crossbow operators inside the compound, plus 50 more guys rotating night watch shifts. Dismissed every single one of Zhao Quan's former thugs and loyalists. Clean house. My house now. Then, dinner. I made hot pot. Actual, real, proper hot pot. Secret spice blend simmering in a little bronze pot. 5 pounds of fresh lamb sliced thin, dipped, and cooked at the table. A dish that won't be invented in this world for centuries. Yi Qingwen took one bite, and her eyes literally sparkled. This is the best thing I've ever eaten. Miao Xuedhua, who grew up eating gourmet food in a marquise mansion, went wide-eyed after her first piece. No sarcastic comment. Just silent, rapid chewing. The highest compliment she knows how to give. Saya slammed the table so hard the pot jumped. This needs wine. Since when do you drink? Since my husband walked into a snake pit alone and walked out owning a ranch. That deserves a drink. Fair point. I brought out the good stuff, not the distilled cheap wine I sell to customers, but my personal batch. Pure grain spirit aged in fresh bamboo tubes. Clean, crisp, with a subtle bamboo fragrance that makes you feel like you're drinking a forest. High-proof, smooth, otherworldly. Saya took one sip and her cheeks went pink. This is way better than the commercial stuff. Obviously, that's the premium reserve. Now eat your lamb and stop drinking. Meanwhile, my 65 soldiers were in the corner of the courtyard gathered around a massive pot containing an entire sheep plus 10 giant bread rolls stuck to the sides. 70 pounds of mutton for 65 guys. They were in heaven. But even during dinner, they were worried about the same thing I was worried about. Salt. Those yellow chunks the Lord bought, that's horse food, right? I heard that stuff can kill humans. Why would the Lord buy horse salt instead of people's salt? Maybe he knows something we don't. Oh, if they only knew. After dinner, my wives went to bed. Miao Shuedhua, Yi Qingwen, and Saya each picked a room in the second courtyard like they were house shopping. I assigned some trusted bamboo garden women to manage the existing household staff. Got everyone settled. Then, at midnight, while the entire compound slept, I snuck into an east wing room in the third courtyard with 1,000 pounds of disgusting yellow-black horse salt and got to work. Operation: turn garbage into gold. Step 1. Dissolve everything in water. 1,000 pounds of chunky, stinking mineral rocks reduced to murky brown liquid. 1 hour. Step 2. The fun part. Chemical purification. Using techniques that won't exist in this world for a very long time, I systematically removed every harmful compound. The stuff that makes crude salt bitter, toxic, and yellow. One impurity at a time. Filter. Separate. Discard. Repeat. This took 2 hours of precise, exhausting work. My modern chemistry knowledge versus medieval salt quality. Chemistry 1. Step 3. Boiling. Pour the purified salt water into every large pot available. Light fires underneath. Evaporate the water. What's left behind when the water's gone? Pure, white, fine grain, premium salt. The kind nobles pay 100 silver per pound for and still can't get enough of. The kind the magistrate's monopoly controls with an iron fist. The kind that doesn't exist in sufficient quantities anywhere in the northern frontier. And I just made it. From horse food. In a backyard. At 4 a.m., I put Sun Air's wife in charge of the boiling operation. Her and 5 other women, rotating shifts, keeping the fires going, watching the water evaporate, collecting the salt crystals. She was thrilled. Her husband makes 3 silver a month. She gets fed daily, eats rice and meat regularly. And now she's got her own team and a monthly salary coming. Don't let it burn, I told her. This salt is worth more than gold. She nodded with the seriousness of a woman who understands exactly what's at stake. While the magistrate sleeps in his fancy mansion thinking he's crushed my salt supply, I'm literally manufacturing the most valuable commodity in the region from raw materials his monopoly doesn't even know exist. Tomorrow morning, when those pots finish boiling and my soldiers see pristine white crystals where disgusting yellow rocks used to be, they're going to think I'm an actual wizard. And honestly, in this world, I basically am. Salt monopoly? Broken. Horse ranch? Seized. Wives? Rescued. Hot pot? Invented. Chemistry? Weaponized. The magistrate thought cutting off my salt would kill me. Instead, he forced me to become a salt manufacturer. Every obstacle this world throws at me just makes me more dangerous. Good night, Magistrate Huang. Sleep well. Because tomorrow, I start selling fine salt at prices that will make your monopoly look like a lemonade stand. I slept until almost noon, and it was the best sleep of either of my lives. After an all-night chemistry marathon, my body basically shut down like a phone hitting 0%. Yi Qingwen snuck into my room at some point saying she felt safer sleeping near me. I thought maybe she was making a romantic move, but nope. Wrong time of the month. The universe has comedic timing. I'll give it that. Lord, come quick. Sun Air's wife came barreling toward me like a human cannonball, breathing so hard she could barely form sentences. Her face was radiating pure joy, like she'd found a treasure chest. The salt. It's done. I speed walked to the east wing of the third courtyard where my overnight salt operation had been running. 5 women inside. 2 standing guard over the pots like they were protecting the crown jewels. 3 napping in the corner after their shift. I looked into the first pot, and my heart actually skipped a beat. A thick layer of snow-white crystals lining the bottom. Fine grain. Pure. No yellow. No black. No smell. No bitterness. Just clean, beautiful, pristine salt that looked like it came from a luxury store in my old world. In this world, this stuff is basically diamonds you can eat. I grabbed a spatula and flipped the crystals around. Perfectly uniform, no impurities, smelled like nothing but clean saltiness. If I'd had a chef's hat, I would have put it on and kissed my fingers like a French cook. Perfect. Keep flipping it every few minutes so it dries evenly. Sun Air's wife was staring at the salt like it was her firstborn child. She knew what this was worth. Market price for fine salt, 100 silver per pound minimum. And that's if you can even find it, which you usually can't because every noble family hoards it like gold. Then she did something that caught me off guard. She got real quiet and said, "Lord, my 3 kids are getting dizzy and sleepy. No salt for too long. Could I maybe buy a little bit of crude salt? I'll pay for my husband's wages." She was asking to buy the cheap stuff, the garbage salt, for her children, because she assumed the fine salt was obviously for selling to rich people, not for the likes of her family. I turned and looked at her, 30-something years old, dark circles under her eyes from staying up all night for me, sweat on her forehead, hands rough from working, and she was asking permission to feed her children salt that I'd consider substandard for horses. Crude salt? Who said anything about crude salt? Her face froze. "Take a pound of this fine salt home. For your family." She stopped breathing. "And the rest of you, half a pound each. You earned it tonight." 5 women stared at me like I'd just told them they'd won the lottery. Half a pound of fine salt is worth 50 silver. For one night's work of watching pots boil. In their world, that's generational wealth in crystalline form. Sun Air's wife dropped to her knees. "Lord, this is too much. I don't deserve. I say you deserve it. You deserve it. Period. Work hard for me, and I take care of you. That's the deal. That's always the deal." All 6 women cowed out. In another life, I'd tell them to stand up and stop bowing. But this is feudal times. If I act too casual, they'll think something's wrong with me. So I let them have their moment of gratitude, nodded solemnly, and told them I'd slaughter 2 fat sheep later for everyone to share. Then I went back to planning world domination. As you do. But the story that happened after I left that room? That's the part that punched me right in the chest when I heard about it later. Sun Air's wife rushed home with a pound of fine salt and 2 pounds of lamb. She walked through the door and found her 8-year-old son holding his 5-year-old sister in his arms, panicking. The little girl had collapsed, fainted from salt deficiency. The 2-year-old was crying, barely understanding what was happening. An 8-year-old boy, holding his unconscious sister, alone, because his dad was on night watch duty and his mom was boiling salt for me. Sun Air's wife dissolved some of the fine salt in water and fed it to her daughter. The little girl's eyes fluttered open. She looked up at her mother and whispered, "Mommy, is that you? Am I still alive?" A 5-year-old girl thought she was dead. Because in this world, kids actually die from not having salt. Something I could buy for pennies in my old life. Something that sits on every restaurant table, free and unlimited. Here, it nearly killed a child today. This is why I do what I do. Not for the money. Not for the power. Not to prove Grandpa wrong or humiliate Zhao Quan or outsmart corrupt magistrates. For that little girl. And every person in my territory who's one missing mineral away from losing a family member. I now have the ability to produce unlimited fine salt from cheap raw materials nobody else wants. The magistrate's monopoly is irrelevant. The market shortage is irrelevant. I can feed my people, and I can sell the surplus at prices that will make me richer than half the nobility in this region. The lightning-struck idiot just became a salt baron. And somewhere, a 5-year-old girl is eating lamb with actual seasoning for the first time in her life, wondering if heaven tastes this good. It does, kid. And it's just getting started. 800 pounds of pristine white fine salt from 1,000 pounds of yellow horse rocks. 80% yield. My chemistry teacher from my old life would have given me an A+, and then asked how I got access to medieval equipment. I woke up around noon feeling like a man who'd earned his sleep. The salt operation was running smoothly. Sun Air's wife and her crew had been flipping crystals all morning like the world's most valuable pancakes. Lunch was a masterpiece. Braised lamb heads, 8 lamb hooves, and a rack of ribs, all seasoned with my own fine salt. 2 freshly slaughtered fat sheep, the good cuts for me and the wives. Everything else distributed to my soldiers. Saya poured herself wine before I even sat down. She's become an alcoholic on my watch, and I take full responsibility. then grabbed a lamb head by the yair and bit into it like a Viking attacking a turkey leg. The woman eats with the ferocity of a natural disaster. Miao Shuedwa asked the smart question, "Why aren't you rushing to sell that 1,000 pounds of distilled wine to the Li family? Because the magistrate has probably turned every road to the county seat into a kill zone. That's why. Last time I went, I nearly got caught by a checkpoint, chased by 100 soldiers, and survived only because I can do a convincing wolf howl. Going back now would be like a lamb walking into a slaughterhouse and asking for directions to the knife drawer. Plus, that particular 1,000 pounds is already promised to Feng Sihai. Payment for connecting me to the intelligence guild that dug up the magistrate's secrets. That intel cost Feng 5,000 silver out of his own pocket. 1,000 pounds of premium wine at 10 silver per pound squares us perfectly. Then I dropped the salt bomb on my wives. Saya, go distribute 1/2 pound of fine salt to every person in Bamboo Garden. 3 pairs of eyes went wide. They'd seen the salt come out of the pots that morning, snow white, fine-grained, 0 impurities, and assumed I'd sell every crystal at 100 silver per pound. Miao Shuedwa, ever the financial advisor, husband, giving away fine salt this precious is a bit extravagant, don't you think? What's extravagant is watching people collapse from deficiency while I'm sitting on 800 pounds of the stuff. Besides, luxury investment creates luxury returns. She opened her mouth, closed it, nodded. The former marquis's daughter just got outmaneuvered on economics by a guy who died playing video games. The distribution plan. For 100 pounds to Bamboo Gardens, 850 residents at 1/2 pound each. 50 pounds for the manor compound, my soldiers, guards, and staff. The remaining 350? Strategic reserve. The horse ranch has 3,000 residents, but they'll wait. Fine salt is a reward, not a handout. It goes first to people who've bled for me. The ranch people can earn their share. After lunch, I called Sun Air over. Time for the next money-making operation. We're building a food stall on the main highway outside the horse ranch. See, the ranch sits just 3 miles south of Shanyang town's outskirts. The northern road is a major highway, an official imperial route wide enough for 3 wagons side by side. Traffic is 10 times heavier than anything on my old back mountain trail. Merchants, soldiers, officials, travelers, a nonstop river of hungry people with money. I'd been selling roadside food on a goat trail and making thousands. Imagine what I can do on an actual highway. Meanwhile, a week later, something beautiful happened at the Li residence that I only heard about afterward. A carrier pigeon landed on Li Heng's desk. He unrolled the tiny paper attached to its leg and found a message in his uncle's handwriting. "Nephew, the wine is magnificent. Send all you can get. And the bamboo armor, even better. Send every set available." Li Heng's hands started shaking. He'd been skeptical about the armor. No metal plates, weird design, made of bamboo. He'd given me a fraction of the asking price, thinking his uncle might reject it entirely. Instead, the most decorated military commander in the northern frontier just said it was better than the wine. The wine he called the finest in the empire. Somewhere in the capital, Early Dingxian was probably sitting in his study, wearing bamboo armor over his silk robes, drinking my premium liquor, and telling everyone who walked in, "You will not believe what this kid from Bamboo Garden can do." Li Heng was already mentally calculating how fast he could get more wine and more armor from me. The 5,000 silver he'd paid for 500 sets at a discount was about to look like the deal of the century for him. My product line is now premium distilled spirits, fine-grained salt, bamboo body armor, and roadside gourmet food. I started this journey with 200 silver and 3 debt-loaded wives. Now I own 2 territories, a highway restaurant location, a salt refinery, a weapons manufacturing operation, and a supply contract with a military earl. Zhao Quan is somewhere without a ranch, without an army, with a broken leg, wondering where it all went wrong. It went wrong when you messed with the cook, cousin. Never mess with the cook. While I was busy setting up my highway restaurant empire and refining horse salt into luxury goods, the rest of the world was spinning without me. Let me catch you up on what everyone else was doing, because apparently I'm the main character in about 6 different people's storylines simultaneously. First, Li Heng. The Earl's nephew was pacing around his mansion like a man waiting for a pizza delivery that's 3 hours late. Where's the wine? Where's the armor? Why hasn't that kid sent anything? Poor guy didn't know I was trapped behind enemy lines with a corrupt magistrate mining every road between us. He was also dealing with his own problems, trying to take over the Shanyang County Merchant Association to counter Huang Wenhua's influence, and failing, because that snake magistrate has the entire county locked down tighter than a bank vault. But then the carrier pigeon arrived from his uncle in the capital, and Li Heng's whole week changed. The Earl wanted more wine, more armor, and wanted it yesterday. So Li Heng did what any smart businessman does when his supply chain is broken. He went to the supplier. He sent his manager to find me with a care package, 2,000 more pounds of crude salt, for my horses, wink wink, 5,000 silver as a partial payment for the armor. He'd previously lowballed me on, and a personal invitation to come chat in the county seat. That's 7,000 silver worth of goodwill heading my way from a man I met one time. Networking, people. It literally pays for itself. Now for the villains. Huang Wenhua and Zhao Quan spent their week doing what corrupt officials and spoiled nephews do best, visiting fancy brothels and plotting revenge. Zhao Quan's leg was healing. He ditched the crutches, which is unfortunate because I was hoping he'd need them permanently. They stumbled out the back door of some high-class establishment at dawn, Zhao Quan literally singing poetry about how great life is. Uncle, that was amazing. You're being immature, Huang snapped, instantly switching from guy who just spent the night in a pleasure house to serious government official with the speed of a man who's been living a double life for decades. Zhao Quan started poking. So are you just going to let Zhao Shua keep my ranch? He humiliated you. He made you apologize publicly. That's not your style. Uncle, Huang stroked that gross little mustache. I swear that thing is a separate villain character at this point, and said, a gentleman's revenge can wait 10 years. I'm letting him relax. Letting him think he's safe. That's when the knife goes in cleanest. Then he switched to full performance mode. A sedan chair was waiting at the east gate with 50 cops standing at attention. Some bootlicking officer announced, the magistrate has been selflessly patrolling the streets for the common people. Huang climbed into his chair and proclaimed loud enough for every bystander to hear. As the people's parent official, serving them is my duty. Random townspeople actually gave him thumbs up. They were clapping for this man. The same man who calls them two-legged sheep in private. The same man who sells salt to enemy barbarians. The same man who just came from a brothel. Zhao Quan stood there looking awkward, which is his natural state of being at this point. On the way back to the mansion, a woman threw herself in front of the procession, knees bleeding, holding a blood-written petition, sobbing that her husband was beaten to death by his employer for asking for his wages. The lead officer drew his sword. Get out of the way or die. And from inside the sedan chair, Huang's silky voice, bring me the petition. These people are my children. Don't you dare treat them this way. The crowd swooned. What a compassionate leader. What a caring magistrate. I guarantee you that woman's case will be buried in a drawer by tomorrow morning, and she'll never hear another word about it. That's how this man operates. Public saint, private demon. So here's my threat assessment as of this week. Huang Wenhua. Actively plotting my destruction with the patience of a poisonous spider. Currently pretending to ignore me, which means he's actually preparing something devastating. Zhao Quan. Leg healing. Rage simmering. Zero territory. Plenty of uncle. Dangerous only because his uncle is dangerous. Li Heng. Sending me money, salt, and friendship. Currently my most valuable ally in the county. And me? I'm standing in front of a highway food stall with a wok, a dream, and approximately 800 pounds of the finest salt the northern frontier has ever seen. The magistrate thinks he's playing the long game. 10 years, he said. Very patient. Very strategic. What he doesn't know is that I don't need 10 years. I need about 10 weeks. Because every day that passes, I get richer, stronger, and more connected. And every day he waits, thinking he's letting me relax. I'm building the machine that will grind his entire corrupt empire into dust. Patience is a virtue, Magistrate Huang. But so is speed. And I've got a 2,000-year head start on everyone in this world. Tick-tock. The magistrate is the kind of villain who accepts a bleeding pregnant widow's murder petition, promises justice to her face, then tosses the paperwork in the corner of his sedan chair without reading a single word. His plan? Call up the murderer, tell him to clean up the mess, and charge the guy a couple thousand silver for the privilege of getting away with it. The dead husband's family gets nothing. The magistrate gets a profit. Tuesday in Shenyang County. Even Zhao Quan had a moment of hesitation. Uncle, she's pregnant. Maybe let this one go. Peasants are insects. They're pigs. A few dead ones don't matter. This man governs 30,000 people. He literally calls them livestock. And the townspeople clap for him when he rides by. They gave him thumbs up outside the East Gate. The world is broken, and I'm living in it. But forget the magistrate's casual evil for a moment. Let me tell you about his plan for me. Somewhere north of the horse ranch, there's a government labor camp called North Forest Mountain. 800 convicted military criminals, all with face tattoos, all with murder records, all doing backbreaking mining work for garbage food and zero pay. These guys are essentially an army of angry, skilled, desperate warriors being slowly starved and worked to death. The magistrate's genius idea? Release them. Point them at my horse ranch like a loaded cannon and let them loose. Oh look, fat sheep and cattle over there at the ranch. Go help yourselves. If I fight back and win, he charges me with rebellion for attacking government prisoners. If they overrun me and I die, he swoops in afterward, puts down the riot, and either kills or re-enslaves all 800 of them. Either way, he wins. I lose. The prisoners lose. The only person who profits is the mustache-stroking snake in the sedan chair. Brilliant, Uncle. Zhao Quan jumped up so fast he re-injured his healing leg and screamed in pain. That boy's body is a physical comedy machine. Meanwhile, completely unaware that 800 military killers are about to be sicked on me like attacked dogs, I was having the time of my life. My highway food stall was printing money. Located 3 miles from Shenyang town on a major imperial highway, traffic was absolutely insane. 10 times the volume of my old mountain trail. Merchant caravans, military convoys, traveling nobles, common traders, an endless buffet of hungry, wealthy customers. One group from Western Sichuan was going nuts over my spicy dishes. This heat, this flavor. We came all the way from the West, and nothing back home compares. Daily revenue report from Sun Air. Lord, we sold out all the wine again. All 10 sheep too. Everything's gone. The numbers were beautiful. 500 pounds of premium liquor per day at 20 silver per pound. That's 10,000 silver daily, just from booze. Each sheep costs me 4 or 5 silver to raise, but sells for 50 to 100 once I work my culinary magic on it. The food stall was grossing over 10,000 silver a day in pure profit. I was lying in my roadside hammock thinking, this is the life, when a rider came galloping up in the heat. Lord, 2 men from the Li residence in Shenyang are looking for you. Li Heng sent people to find me. Finally, that connection had gone quiet for too long, and I'd been worried the magistrate might have interfered. If Li Heng was reaching out, it meant the Earl's nephew still wanted to do business, and more importantly, he might become my eyes and ears inside the county seat. I sent word to bring them to the horse ranch manor and started packing up. But as I rode home, that familiar feeling crept back, the one that sits between my shoulder blades like a cold hand. The feeling that something bad is being prepared. The magistrate had been too quiet for too long. A snake that stops hissing isn't sleeping. It's aiming. 800 face-tattooed military convicts versus one wine merchant with bamboo armor and a cooking pot. I don't know about this fight yet, but I will soon. And when I find out, I'm going to need a lot more bamboo. Current status, making 10,000 silver a day, completely unaware that an army of murderers is being aimed at my front door. Life really does come at you fast in ancient China. Li Heng's guys showed up with a mountain of gifts, 5,000 silver and 2,000 pounds of crude salt. Just casually dropped it in my courtyard like, hey, here's a small fortune and a pile of horse rocks, enjoy. I sent them back with some premium wine and my best braised lamb. Told them to have Li Heng send his own horse team to pick up the next wine shipment because I am not sneaking through wolf-infested wilderness at 3 a.m. again. Li Heng also wants me to visit him in the county seat for some kind of important conversation. I can feel it in my bones. This isn't just about wine and armor. There's something bigger, something political. But after last time, when I left home for one day and came back to find my wives in chains, I'm not going anywhere until I'm absolutely sure my territory is locked down. Miao Shuadwa asked what Li Heng wanted to talk about. I gave her the, don't worry, husband's got it handled, smile. She accepted it, which means she's either trusting me more or she's gotten tired of arguing with a brick wall. Either way, progress. Then she hit me with the real crisis. Husband, we have a livestock problem. I thought she meant a cow was sick or something. Oh no. Much, much bigger. The military horses aren't eating properly. The cattle are sluggish. The sheep are getting weak. They all need salt. I blinked. How much salt? She pulled out what was basically a spreadsheet of doom. 620 adult war horses. 530 young horses. Each needs about 2 ounces of salt per day. That's over 200 pounds of salt daily just for horses. 3,000 cattle. 20,000 sheep. 360 camels. Another 2,000 plus pounds per day for them. Total daily salt requirement for livestock alone, over 2,000 pounds. At 10 silver per pound for the cheapest crude salt, that's 20,000 silver per day. I'm making 10,000 silver a day from my food stall and thinking I'm rich. Turns out I'm barely covering half the salt budget for animals I didn't even know needed this much maintenance. How did Zhao Quan handle this? He was plugged into his uncle's salt monopoly. Free surplus crude salt from the Huang family's massive stockpiles, plus profits from the black market salt racket. The whole system was subsidized by corruption. Of course it was. I seized a ranch without realizing it came with a 20,000 silver per day salt addiction that was previously funded by organized crime. It's like winning a yacht and then discovering the fuel costs more than your house. I can't buy salt from the town market. Huang blocked that. Li Heng's supply helps, but it's not nearly enough. And I can't just let 25,000 animals slowly die of mineral deficiency. Give the 2,000 pounds Li Heng just sent to the livestock handlers. Emergency rations. That buys me maybe 1 day. For immediate relief, I told Sun Air to slaughter 50 sheep for dinner tonight. If I can't afford to feed them salt, I might as well feed them to my people. But even with 4,000 hungry humans, we can only eat so much mutton before the market crashes. Dumping thousands of sheep into local markets would tank prices and waste my assets. I'm stuck in a bizarre economic trap. I own more animals than I can afford to maintain, but I can't sell them fast enough without destroying their value. This is a problem they definitely don't teach you in video game tutorials. Oh, and while I was doing math on salt economics, 800 convicted military criminals were doing combat drills on a mountain 15 miles away. I don't know about them yet, but let me describe what I later learned. North Forest Mountain Labor Camp. 800 men, all face-tattooed felons, all former soldiers, all jacked. Shirtless in the training yard, muscles popping, screaming war cries while doing combat exercises. Their leader, a giant named Zhang Biao, former military captain from the capital, sent here for the crime of standing up against corrupt nobles. A good man punished for being too righteous. Sound familiar? This dude was doing spear drills that shattered wooden training posts. His thrust exploded a tree stump. His sweep launched heavy sandbags across the yard like they were stuffed with feathers. 800 guys like that, being pointed at MY Ranch by a magistrate who thinks they're disposable, current status, making great money, bleeding it all to feed animals I can't afford, completely unaware that a small army of super soldiers is being aimed at my front door, and turning down important political meetings because I'm scared to leave my wives alone. Being a medieval lord is basically running a startup where the investors are trying to murder you, and the operating costs include feeding 20,000 sheep their daily mineral supplements. I need a bigger plan. Like, way bigger. And probably more bamboo. Always more bamboo. I didn't even get to finish setting up the morning stall before the ground started shaking. 800 shirtless, face-tattooed, muscle-bound military convicts came marching down the highway in perfect formation, kicking up dust clouds like a human sandstorm. Every single one of them radiated the kind of energy that makes normal people forget how their legs work. Half my customers literally fell on their butts in terror. Leading the pack were 2 absolute units. The first guy, later learned his name was Yang's son, was built like a castle with arms. Carried a massive bronze long-handled blade like it weighed nothing. Had these deep, calm eyes that looked like they could read your criminal record just by staring at you. Former cavalry soldier, framed by corrupt officials for refusing to do their dirty work. The quiet, dangerous type. The worst type. Behind him was Zhang Biao, 9 feet of pure rage shaped like a human being, with eyes the size of actual cow eyeballs. Former military captain from the capital, exiled for the unforgivable crime of standing up for justice. This man was so angry at the world that even the air around him seemed nervous. He'd been doing spear drills that exploded tree stumps earlier that morning. Tree stumps. And then there was a third guy who appeared at my table like a ghost. 1 second, empty chair. Next second, some scrawny, weasel-faced dude sitting there munching on one of my lamb legs like he owned the place. Just appeared. Out of thin air. Eating my inventory. Without paying. Water glider, Zhao Si. A martial arts expert so fast he could steal your lunch before you saw him move. And he was currently demonstrating this talent on my profit margins. Sun Air saw this and lost his mind. How dare you? I grabbed Sun Air's arm before he could charge in. That skinny thief had moves I couldn't even track. If Sun Air went at him, he'd get folded like origami. I know a dangerous person when I see one, and this entire crowd was dangerous people. Here's what I pieced together about what happened before they showed up. Back at the labor camp, these 800 men had been served their daily meal. Sorghum rice with the husk still on, plus watery soup you couldn't find a grain of rice in with a microscope. Zhang Biao took one look, kicked over the food bucket, and nearly speared the delivery cop through the skull. Yang San stopped him, barely, and demanded an explanation from the terrified guards. The guards, following the magistrate's script perfectly, delivered the bait. The county budget is tight. But there's a horse ranch nearby run by a local thug. Lots of cattle and sheep. If you boys want to eat, go help yourselves. Zhang Biao's response was immediate and enthusiastic. A thug? Let's see if this thug can handle my spear. Zhao Si the ghost thief got excited about. Acquiring livestock and possibly women. Priorities. Yang San. The smart one. Smell the trap. Since when does the magistrate do us favors? Something's off, but Zhang Biao wasn't hearing it. Bro, every rich guy is a crook. Rich people don't get rich by being nice. Let's go eat meat and stop overthinking. Yang San, knowing his brothers would charge in without him and get killed, reluctantly agreed to go along. At least he could keep them alive. So now here I was, behind my food stall, facing 800 elite warriors who'd been deliberately starved and pointed at me like a guided missile. Zhang Biao dropped himself onto one of my stools, which groaned under his weight like it was filing a complaint, and looked at me with the friendliest murder face I've ever seen. You the guy who took over the horse ranch? That's me. Zhao Shuo. What can I do for you, big man? What can you do? You can serve me meat. Fill my belly first. Then I'll decide whether to wreck your entire life or just most of it. He said this to my face. At my own restaurant. While his 800 boys stood in formation behind him like the world's most intimidating Yelp review. The magistrate's plan was crystallizing in real time. Send hungry, angry, powerful men to my doorstep. If I fight them, he charges me with rebellion. If they destroy me, he swoops in to restore order. Win-win for Mustache Man. Lose-lose for me. But here's what Huang Wenhua miscalculated. He assumed I'd either fight or flee. He didn't consider option 3, that I'd pull up a chair, smile at the angriest man in the province, and say, "Meat? Brother, you came to the right place. How hungry are you?" Because the thing about starving warriors is this. The man who feeds them OWNS them. And I happen to have 20,000 sheep that I literally cannot afford to keep alive. Zhang Biao wants meat. I've got a mountain of meat and no salt budget to maintain it. 800 elite fighters need food. I need an army. The magistrate just delivered my salvation, disguised as my destruction. Let's see who's really getting played here, Mustache Man. Let's see. Zhang Biao planted his spear into the ground next to my stool, and it sank several feet into packed earth like it was wet clay. The entire crowd of customers went silent. My own guys started sweating through their clothes. Sun Air tried to come protect me, but his legs stopped cooperating. Full system shut down from pure terror. Then this 9-foot wall of muscle pulled his spear out, twirled it like a helicopter blade, and stopped the tip 1 inch from the space between my eyebrows. 1 inch. Every customer screamed. Some dove under tables. My staff looked like they were about to achieve the world record for simultaneous fainting. And me? I didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't flinch. Not because I'm brave. Let me be completely honest. My internal organs were trying to escape through my back. But here's the thing about being a guy who died once already. The second life comes with a weird discount on fear. I've already experienced the worst thing that can happen. Everything after that is just Tuesday. Also, I'd noticed something. These guys weren't bandits. They wore military clothing. They had military discipline. They moved in formation. And their leader, the quiet, giant young son, hadn't taken his eyes off me once. He wasn't looking at me like prey. He was looking at me like a puzzle. These were good men in bad circumstances. I was sure of it. So instead of begging or running, I opened my mouth and went full motivational speaker. Your spear is sharp. Congratulations. But using it to bully unarmed civilians? Is that what a warrior does? The empire is being attacked by barbarians who slaughter our people, and you're out here robbing a food stall for lamb? If I had your strength, I'd be on the battlefield spending every last drop of blood defending this nation, not standing here with a big stick demanding free meat like a bully with an attitude problem. Dead. Silence. 800 hardened criminals stared at me. Zhang Biao's spear hand started trembling. Not from anger, from shame. See, I'd hit the bullseye. These men weren't criminals by choice. They were soldiers who got screwed by corrupt politicians. Every single one of them wanted to fight for the empire. They wanted to be heroes. Instead, they got framed, tattooed, and dumped in a labor camp to dig rocks until they died. The most painful wound isn't a spear through your chest. It's being told your whole life's purpose was worthless. And I just ripped that wound wide open in front of everyone. Zhang Biao threw his spear on the ground like it burned his hands. Who told me this kid was a thug? This is a real man. His face turned red as a tomato. He couldn't even look at me. Little brother, I was wrong today. I'll come back another day and do that thing where you carry sticks on your back to apologize. Ghost thief Zhao Si, still chewing a stolen lamb leg, called out helpfully from the side. It's called bearing the thorn branch to apologize, second brother. Yeah, that one. Zhang Biao scratched the back of his massive head looking like a schoolboy who just got scolded by his teacher. This man could punch through a wall, and right now he was doing the embarrassed shuffle. Young Sun, the quiet leader, the one I'd been watching, stood up slowly and walked toward me. Every step deliberate, every movement controlled. He stopped in front of me and gave a formal martial salute. Young brother, you are truly a remarkable person. Yang Sun offers his respects, coming from a man whose stare could apparently read your soul and whose blade skills were legendary among 800 elite fighters. That hit different. Even the rank-and-file guys were whispering among themselves. This kid made all three bosses back down. He didn't even flinch when the spear was at his face. That speech, though. Every word hit like a hammer. Zhang Biao spun around and roared at his men. What are you deadbeats still squatting there for? Get up. Help this man with his work. 800 military convicts jumped up and started, helping me run my food stall, washing dishes, moving tables, carrying supplies. The most overqualified restaurant staff in the history of the empire. Customers who'd been hiding under tables 30 seconds ago were now being served by convicted killers who were being very polite about it. They worked for a solid hour before Yang San came to say goodbye. Little brother, we were rude today. We'll take our leave now. But we will return to pay our respects properly. I watched them march away. 800 men, disciplined formation, disappearing down the highway in a cloud of dust. The magistrate sent them to destroy me. Instead, they left respecting me. Not because I fought them, because I spoke to the part of them that still believed they could be heroes. Huang Wenhua wanted these men to be his weapon against me. But weapons don't work when they start liking the target. 800 elite warriors, all wrongfully convicted, all desperate for purpose, all now aware that the evil thug they were sent to crush is actually a guy who talks about defending the nation and feeds people lamb. The magistrate handed me a bomb. I just pulled out the fuse and turned it into a recruitment opportunity. Come back anytime, brothers. Next time, I'll have the grill going. And maybe, just maybe, a proposition that's a lot more interesting than digging rocks for a man who calls you disposable. Day's earnings, 10,000 silver, 1 near-death experience, and the phone number of 800 potential soldiers. Not bad for a morning shift. Okay, so picture this. A guy who could bench press a horse just shoved a spear tip 1 inch from my forehead, and I'm standing there thinking about recruitment strategies. Because that's who I am now. A man whose survival instinct has been completely replaced by business instinct. My brain doesn't do fight or flight anymore. It does fight, flight, or higher. Let me set the scene properly. 800 sweaty, shirtless, face-tattooed killers are squatting around my food stall like the world's scariest flash mob. They're banging tables demanding free meat. My customers are one loud noise away from collective cardiac arrest. My staff have all simultaneously forgotten how legs work. Zhang Biao, this walking earthquake of a human, rips his spear out of the ground where it had been buried several feet deep like the dirt was made of butter, twirls it around in a death tornado, and parks the pointy end right between my eyes. Everyone screams. Tables flip. Grown men dive for cover. Me? I'm doing math. 800 trained fighters times 0 cost equals the most affordable army in Imperial history. These men are assets standing in my parking lot wearing angry faces. But first I needed to survive the next 30 seconds. I dropped the Zhao family name like a diplomatic immunity card. I'm a grandson of the Warden of the West, the king of the northern border. Want to be friends and eat some lamb? Cool. Want trouble? Doors that way. Zhang Biao's eyebrows went up. The king's grandson? That's like finding out the random guy you're mugging is the president's nephew. His aggression dial went from 11 to about 7. But he couldn't back down in front of his boys, so he doubled down with the spear trick. And I just stood there, staring at the tip of that spear like it was a mildly interesting piece of jewelry. Inside, every organ I own was sending emergency evacuation notices to my brain. Outside, stone, cold, nothing. Yang's son, the quiet, terrifying one, was watching me like a scientist observing a rare specimen. I could practically hear his thoughts. This kid isn't scared. Why isn't this kid scared? This kid is interesting. Ghost thief Zhao Si, still casually eating my stolen lamb leg like popcorn at a movie, hopped over to Yang's son. Big bro, this guy doesn't seem like a thug. To me. Then I opened my mouth and delivered what I can only describe as the guilt speech of the century. Your spear is impressive, but you're using it to rob a food cart. The empire is being invaded. Barbarians are murdering our people every day. And here you are, trained warriors, elite fighters, bullying an unarmed chef for lamb chops. If I had your abilities, I'd be on the front lines bleeding for my country, not here demanding free snacks with a stick. I watched the words hit Zhang Biao like invisible punches. Each sentence landed harder than the last. This man could shatter tree stumps with his bare hands, but a verbal guilt trip about patriotic duty? That broke him completely. He threw his spear on the ground. Who lied and said this guy was a criminal? This is a real man. Then he turned beet red, couldn't meet my eyes, and started mumbling about wanting to do that thing where you show up with sticks on your back to apologize. It's called bearing thorns to apologize, second brother, Zhao Si corrected, still chewing lamb. Yeah, that. Yang's son rose from his seat like a mountain deciding to take a walk, approached me, and gave the most formal martial arts salute I've ever received. Young brother, you are truly a remarkable individual. Yang's son pays his respects. Then he turned to his 800 men, who were still squatting hopefully by the tables, and barked, "Get up! Help this man with his work." What followed was the most surreal hour of my life. 800 convicted military veterans, guys who could individually murder entire villages, were washing my dishes, hauling my firewood, rearranging my tables, and serving drinks to customers who minutes ago were hiding under those same tables. The customers crawled back out, saw they were now being waited on by the scariest men alive, and just started drinking again. Humans adapt to anything, apparently. After an hour, Yang's son bowed again. We were disrespectful today. We'll take our leave, but we will return to pay proper respects. I watched them march away down the highway in perfect formation, 800 strong, dust rising. Behind them like the ending of a war movie. Here's my analysis of the three leaders. Yang's son, strategic genius, reads people like books, fights like a demon, wrongfully convicted. The brains, my future general. Zhang Biao, walking natural disaster with a heart of gold buried under 9 feet of rage. Former capital military officer punished for being too righteous. The muscle, my future enforcer. Zhao Si, water glider, appears and disappears like a magic trick, steals food at superhuman speed, sees through lies instantly. The spy, my future intelligence chief. The magistrate sent them to destroy me. Instead, they left calling me a hero. His grand plan to frame me with their rampage? Dead on arrival. These men now think I'm the most impressive person they've met since they got imprisoned. Huang Wenhua spent years stockpiling 800 human weapons. And in one conversation over stolen lamb, I turned them into MY fan club. Come back anytime, brothers. Next time I'll have a real proposal. The kind that involves full bellies, real purpose, and maybe, just maybe, a chance to be the heroes you were always supposed to be. The magistrate's bomb has been defused, and I'm keeping the detonator. They were about to leave. 800 elite warriors, walking away from me, back to their miserable labor camp to eat husk-covered sorghum and dig rocks until they died. Not on my watch. Why leave? Let's eat together right now. Yang Sun hesitated. The man has manners, I'll give him that. He felt weird about staying after his boys just tried to rob me. Classic, we just attempted armed robbery, but now you're inviting us to dinner. Awkwardness. Very specific social situation. No etiquette book covers this. But Zhang Biao? Zero hesitation. Big bro, the man said eat. Stop being weird. Zhao Si the ghost thief chimed in with his weasel grin. When a hero offers hospitality, refusing is the real insult. Yang Sun caved. All right, but don't let him overspend on us. I led all 800 of them to a gorgeous spot deep inside the ranch. Open grassland, a babbling creek, cattle grazing in the distance. Pure medieval paradise. I had 2 massive bronze cauldrons set up and slaughtered 2 fat cows. 1,200 pounds of beef, plus heads and organs, all dumped into the pots with salt and my secret spice blend. 800 starving men squatting around 2 giant pots of simmering beef, watching the steam rise, drooling in synchronized formation. It was the most disciplined display of hunger I've ever witnessed. While the meat cooked, I cracked open the wine and sat on the grass with the 3 leaders. Yang Sun and I talked like old friends. The guy is smart. Like, scary smart. He reads situations the way I read ingredient labels. Zhang Biao punished himself with 3 bowls of my premium wine. At 20 silver per pound and about half a pound per bowl, that's 30 silver worth of booze he chugged in under a minute. Yang Sun pointed this out. Brother, you just drank 30 silver worth of wine in 3 gulps. Zhang Biao's face went from happy drunk red to oh no red. Ah, little brother, I'll pay you back someday with interest. Forget it, I said, raising my own bowl. Meeting you guys is worth more than silver. My treat. We clinked bowls. For men drinking premium liquor on a grassy hillside by a creek while 800 warriors waited for beef. If this were a painting, it'd be worth a fortune. Zhang Biao got emotional and tried to formally become my sworn brother, like the whole blood oath thing from the old stories. Yang Sun shut that down fast with a death glare. Smart man. He understood that I'm nobility, a Zhao family lord with 2 territories, and they're convicted criminals. A formal brotherhood would actually lower my status and complicate things politically. But I had a better offer. How about this? We stick together. Eat together. Drink together. Share good times and bad times. Sound good? Not sworn brothers. Something better. A lord and his chosen companions. I don't need equals. I need people who will follow me into hell and trust that I'll lead them back out with a profit. All 3 raised their bowls. Deal. Then the beef was ready, and I witnessed something that will haunt my dreams forever, in the best way. 800 men who hadn't tasted meat in over a year, unleashed on 1,200 pounds of spiced, salted, perfectly cooked beef. Zhang Biao grabbed a whole rib section and ate it like a corn on the cob. Bones cracking, juice running down his chin, eyes rolling back in pure ecstasy. Big meat. Big wine. Life is good. Zhao Si ate daintily but made these little satisfied. TSK, TSK, TSK. Sounds that were somehow more annoying than Zhang Biao's tornado eating. Yang Sun ate with dignity. Big bites. But slow. Controlled. Like a man who refuses to look desperate even when he's starving. Respect. The rank-and-file guys were in heaven. We haven't eaten meat in a year. This is better than anything the camp ever gave us. Then, mid-feast, Yang Sun got serious. Little brother, listen carefully. The magistrate told us you were a thug and sent us to destroy you. That failed, but he won't stop. The next attack will come soon, and it'll be different. Zhang Biao ripped his face away from a cow leg. I say we storm the county seat and chop that dog magistrate's head off. Lovely enthusiasm. Terrible strategy. No, I said, putting down my wine. Attacking the magistrate directly means attacking the government. That's actual rebellion. We'd be hunted by the entire empire. Zhang Biao deflated slightly. But attacking the magistrate's schemes? Destroying his business? Exposing his corruption? Making his life so miserable he wishes we'd just attacked him? That we can do. and he can't touch us for it. We have to make him feel skinned alive while leaving zero evidence. Yang Sen's eyes were blazing. He leaned forward. Little brother, tell us what to do. We follow your lead. And just like that, with beef juice on my chin and premium wine warming my chest, sitting on a hillside surrounded by 800 warriors who wanted to call me boss, I became the leader of the most dangerous unofficial militia in Shenyang County. The magistrate sent a bomb to my doorstep. I fed it lunch, gave it wine, and now it follows me. Current army roster: 50 bamboo-armored spearmen, 15 crossbow operators, and 800 battle-hardened military veterans led by 3 of the most terrifying fighters in the northern frontier. Huang Wenhua has 50 cops and a sedan chair. I like my odds. Before the boys left, I pulled Yang San, Zhang Biao, and Zhao Si close and whispered my plan for dealing with the magistrate. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. Suspense is important, but let me describe their reactions. Yang San, the man whose face displays fewer emotions than a brick wall, actually grinned. Brilliant. This will rip the mask right off that snake's face. Zhang Biao slammed his fist into his palm so hard it echoed across the grassland. Beautiful. Little brother, you're the best thing that's happened to us since we got thrown in that dump. Zhao Si slow clapped with his creepy little weasel hands. Exquisite. Simply exquisite. Whatever I told them, it's going to hurt the magistrate in a place he can't recover from. His public image. The one thing he guards more carefully than his money. Strip away the beloved father of the people act, and underneath is just a greedy snake in a fancy robe. My plan is basically a public skinning. I sent them home with full bellies and a mission. Wanted to send livestock too, but that would tip off the magistrate's spies. Speaking of which, later that night, at the Huang family mansion, the comedy show was in full swing. Zhao Quan was pacing the floor like a caged hamster with anxiety issues. It's past midnight. Why is there no news? Did they kill him? Is he dead? Please tell me he's dead. Magistrate Huang was sitting there sipping his 15th cup of tea, looking irritatingly calm. Relax. My targets don't escape. Unless he's a literal god, he's finished. Everyone who's ever crossed me in this county. Their grave grass is 2 meters tall. He then launched into a smug analysis of MY problems, which, annoyingly, was pretty accurate. He knew about my salt crisis. Knew the livestock were becoming a financial burden without cheap salt and feed. Knew that his monopoly had made the ranch unsustainable. Zhao Quan was delighted. He's drowning. Serves him right for stealing my ranch. We got our salt for free from your connections. Our feed was basically free from those peasants you overtax. He'll never replicate that. They were literally high-fiving over my suffering. Real classy boys. Then their spy came back. A burly guy named Wang Debin, the magistrate's plant inside the labor camp. Walked in looking like a man delivering disappointing pizza. Zhao Quan nearly tackled him. Well, did they destroy him? Let's talk inside, young master. Wang Debin reported to the magistrate. So,